Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
All right, we're going to start the meeting momentarily. If everybody would find a seat, we really would appreciate it.
6 o'clock on the head. Perfect time.
All right, I want to welcome everybody back to the second phase of the day's scoping session of the New York Sands application. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Clavin.
I am here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Here. Councilwoman Miller.
Here.
Councilman Muscarella.
Present.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Here.
Councilman Muscarella, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. Hand over the heart.
Okay, the town of Hempstead received an application from LVS NY Holdco 2 LLC to construct the Sands New York Integrated Resort, and the town hired both Steve LaSquadra to serve as our outside counsel for the application and Nelson and Pope to assist the town with the environmental process. Before asking them to address our session, I will now ask our town attorney, John Macarone, to explain the rules of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Pursuant to our town board rules, each speaker will have 3 minutes to make their comments. You can speak only this evening if you did not speak at the earlier session. We will take, if you'd like, further written comments on the application, all during the period where the record will be left open. But as I said before, you'll be limited to 3 minutes, and if you spoke earlier. In addition, Mr. Supervisor, it's come to my attention, and I'd like to place on the record the fact that Councilperson Miller has a relative who works for the applicant's law firm. And I've had a number of discussions with her. I've in fact contacted our ethics counsel, and it should have no impact on her impartiality and ability to vote on this. I've discussed it with her. She feels that she can make a fair and clear decision as to this application, but we would like to put that on the record now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Town Attorney. And just so everybody's clear, we had a rather smooth meeting this morning. Everybody was very respectful of everyone's opinions in here. And as I said, if you need to go after 3 minutes, we will take either written submissions and or email submissions, and every one of the comments is made part of the records. In fact, to point, we've had a couple of people who went over the 3 minutes, and they were nice enough to send nice emails with additional comments, and they were appreciative of them being made part of it. As I said, we had a very smooth meeting this morning, and when people do come and speak, and I understand passions, and we all do, I would just ask everybody to be respectful, so we can have, a meeting that should be done properly, that everyone feels welcomed and not pressured, and can speak freely and have a enjoyable evening. With that, Mr. Macaron, I would like now to ask Mr. LaSquadra, the town's outside counsel on this application, to repeat his presentation from this morning and the application nature of today's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and thank you of the members of the board. As we mentioned previously, this is the first public meeting of the proposed Sands New York Integrated Resort in accordance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, known as SEQRA, and one of the first formal steps in the SEQRA process. The purpose of this meeting is to hear the public's comments on the topics to be studied in the draft environmental impact statement, known as a DEIS, that the town board is requiring the applicant to prepare. This is one of the first steps in the SEQRA process and only the first public meeting in the process. Now, I wish to make very clear that this is not a substantive hearing on the merits of the application, and no decisions will be made on the application at this time. The purpose of this meeting only is to help determine what issues should be evaluated in the DEIS. The town board, Mr. Supervisor, as lead agency, issued a positive declaration on December 5th, 2023, requiring the preparation of a DEIS, and the applicant submitted a draft scope, which represents the applicant's proposed content for the DEIS. Mr. Supervisor, as you and the board know, the town is committed to making this an extraordinarily comprehensive and thorough and transparent environmental review process, one that in scope and nature has not been seen on Long Island for a project of this magnitude, or quite frankly, for any project of that nature, such as the commitment to making this a very detailed and transparent process. Toward that end, the draft scope has been available for the past 6 weeks on the town's website, and hard copies have been and continue to be available at the following locations: the office of the Hempstead Town Clerk, the Uniondale Public Library, the East Meadow Public Library, the Hempstead Public Library, the Garden City Public Library, and the Westbury Memorial Public Library. Further, notices of this scoping meeting were published in the Environmental Notice Bulletin, which is handled by the state of New York, and in Newsday. In addition, a notice was mailed to every household in the town. The town board is here today to listen to your comments, the comments of the public, on the applicant's draft scope and what you believe is important to study in the DEIS that we just referenced. Now, please note, this is not a question and answer session, as the applicant has not yet prepared a final DEIS, so neither the town nor the applicant will have responses to your questions. As Mr. Macaron, the town attorney, mentioned, however, following today and the opportunity to be heard here by all who wish to do so, there will be a public comment period that will be left open, so everyone will have a full and ample opportunity to say what they wish with respect to environmental considerations regarding this process. The applicant will be asked to discuss its application and what it proposes to study in its draft environmental impact statement. Before that, the supervisor will call on the town's environmental expert and consultant, Nelson Pope and Voorhees, to provide a further explanation of the process and what will happen after the close of this meeting and the written comment portion and period on the draft scope. Mr. Supervisor?
Thank you, Mr. LaSquadra. I'm now going to ask our representatives from the environmental planning firm, Nelson and Pope, to repeat their presentation from this morning on the environmental process for the benefit of those who did not attend earlier session.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. John Ellsworth from Nelson Pope and Voorhees. I'm going to highlight and expand upon some of the important points that were just made, just to emphasize the purpose of the meeting tonight. Again, this meeting is a very early step in the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker process, which will include additional opportunities for public participation before a decision is made. This meeting is being held by the town board to receive comments on the draft scope, which was prepared by the applicant. The draft scope contains the applicant's proposed outline for the DEIS, which the applicant also will be preparing. The town board is the lead agency for this application under SEQR, the State Environmental Quality Review Act. In this role, the board will oversee the process to review the application and evaluate the project's impacts on the environment and the measures that have been identified to mitigate these impacts. The SEQR process has to be completed before the town board or any other agency can make a decision on whether to approve the application. The application includes three main components requiring approvals from the town board. The applicant is asking for the town board to create a new zoning district, the Mitchell Field Integrated Resort District, which is proposed for the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum property and the Marriott Hotel property that we're at now. Second part of the application to the town board is for a change of zone for the Coliseum and Marriott Hotel properties from the current zoning Mitchell Field Mixed-Use District to the proposed MF IRD District. The third component of the application to the town board is approval of a conceptual site plan for the proposed development of the Coliseum and Marriott Hotel properties. Currently, the Marriott Hotel property is only proposed for reconfiguration of the parking, but it may be incorporated into the overall development at some time in the future. The applicant submitted an initial draft scope, which was reviewed by the town and its consultants, and the applicant revised the draft scope based on the input provided by the town. However, as noted previously, the draft scope is the applicant's document with the applicant's proposed outline for the DEIS. The scoping document will be finalized by the town to account for the comments received during the public review of the draft scope. The final scope prepared by the town will define the required content of the applicant's draft environmental impact statement. In addition to accepting statements at today's public scoping session, comments are being accepted in writing at the project link on the town's website, or paper submissions to the town attorney whose contact information is listed on the town website. The end date for the public comments is February 20th. As was mentioned previously, we're not looking to answer any questions or resolve any issues at this time. That will come later after the applicant has completed the DEIS, which will contain detailed maps and figures, tables, technical analyses, etc., to fully describe the project, its anticipated impacts, the measures which the applicant is proposing to mitigate those impacts, and alternatives to the proposed development plan. Briefly, the environmental review process after tonight will involve the following steps. First, comments on the draft scope will be accepted in writing at the project link on the town's website or in paper submissions to the town attorney. Again, the end date for comments is February 20th. As noted previously, the scoping document will be finalized by the town based on the comments received at the two sessions today and in writing before the end of the comment period. The final scope will be adopted by the town board and made available in the same manner as occurred for the draft scope. The final scope will define the required content of the DEIS. Next, the applicant will prepare the draft environmental impact statement and submit it to the town. Upon receipt of the DEIS, the town and its consultants will review the submitted DEIS for completeness based on the outline in the final scope and the requirements of the SEQR regulations. The DEIS received from the applicant will have to be revised to address any comments from the town. Ultimately, once all the comments have been addressed, the board will adopt a resolution determining that the DEIS is complete for the purpose of commencing public review of the DEIS. After the board accepts the DEIS is complete, it will be circulated for public review in a similar manner as applied to the draft scope. During the public review period, the DEIS will be subject to a public hearing by the town board, similar to what we're all at tonight. There will also be a period after the hearing in which written comments will be accepted. A final environmental impact statement, or FEIS, will be prepared after the end of the public comment period on the draft EIS to address the comments that are received on the DEIS. The FEIS, Final Environmental Impact Statement, once adopted by the town board, again will be circulated in the same manner as applied to the DEIS and the draft scope. The final step in the secret process is the board's adoption of a finding statement, which presents the board's environmental conclusions regarding the project based on the information in the draft environmental impact statement and the final environmental impact statement. The finding statement will provide a primary basis for the board's ultimate decision on whether to approve the application. Thank you. At this point, Mr. Supervisor, I turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. Job well done. It was almost verbatim for this morning, so I congratulate you on that. All right. At this time, the applicant will now make a short presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, all. First off, a thank you to you and the town board for a very smooth opening session today. We look forward to having the same opportunity tonight to hear the public's comments. My name is Daniel Baker. I'm with the law firm Greenberg Traurig, located at 900 Stewart Avenue in Garden City. I'm appearing tonight on behalf of the applicant, LVS NY Holdco 2, LLC, with regard to its application for the Sands New York Integrated Resort at the Nassau Coliseum site in Uniondale, which application included consent and authorization by the County of Nassau as the property owner to allow us to proceed with this application. As previously explained by Mr. LaSquadro and Mr. Ellsworth, the purpose of today's scoping meeting is to give the public an opportunity to comment on the draft scope that Sands has submitted to the town as lead agency in order to provide input on the analyses to be included in the DEIS. I'm joined here today or tonight by other representatives of Sands who will provide further information in a little bit. They include Michael Levoff, who is Sands Senior Vice President for Strategy and Public Affairs, Tracy Edwards, Sands New York Corporate Social Responsibility Officer, and Terry Elkowitz, Senior Principal at VHB Engineering, who is leading the preparation of the DEIS. Michael and Tracy will provide an overview of the project details as well as a description of benefits, mitigation measures, and commitments related to the proposed development. Terry will then provide a description of the topics to be addressed by the DEIS, set forth in the draft scope, which are already being studied by VHB, along with a discussion of the benefits and mitigation measures to be incorporated into the DEIS. At this point, I would like to hand things over to Michael Levoff.
Good evening, Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, and Council members. I'm Michael Levoff, Sands' Senior Vice President of Strategy and Public Affairs. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. And also thank you to the many of supporters that are here today to show your support for this transformative project that will not just benefit the town of Hempstead in Nassau County, but all of Long Island. Today is an important procedural step in launching the secret process and ensuring a comprehensive environmental review is conducted of our project. This evening, I will give you a brief overview of Sands and our project at the Nassau Coliseum before you hear from experts and the public. Sands is a committed partner with Nassau County and the town of Hempstead. We are the world's most valuable gaming company with a market capitalization of $40 billion. We employ 30,000 individuals globally. Importantly, where we differ from other operators in our industry is that we are a development-first company. We do not acquire existing properties. We utilize our expertise in development to create unique tourism assets in jurisdictions all over the world. And that's what we intend to do here on Long Island. Additionally, very different from our competitors is our ownership structure. While a public company listed on the New York Stock Exchange, our company is majority controlled by a single family. That is important because it allows us to take a long vision on return on investment. We in turn invest for the long run with outsized investments for markets we believe have long-term sustainability. And we have taken this philosophy and deployed it globally, totaling over $30 billion in direct investment, including in Macau, Singapore, Las Vegas, Pennsylvania, and hopefully soon in New York. What we invest in and develop is also very different than many of our other gaming operators. We focus solely on creating high-quality integrated resorts. An integrated resort is a cohesive, well-planned hospitality facility which contains a critical mass of offerings to appeal to the widest possible range of customers. This includes a range of hotel offerings, a multitude of restaurants, of varied cuisines and price points, live entertainment venues, various high-quality gaming offerings, meeting and conference space, and luxury retail. And what we have painstakingly designed over the last 2 years is a best-in-class integrated resort at the site of the Nassau Coliseum. This integrated resort will consist of all the elements I previously described, and it will be done at a level of quality not yet seen in this market. This is not a Jake's 58 or Aqueduct or Yonkers Racetrack Video Lottery Terminal Racino. This is a multifaceted tourism asset that will serve as an economic catalyst for Long Island. And the economic outputs are staggering. With a $6 billion investment from Sands, our project will spur 8,500 union construction jobs, 6,000 jobs in operation, the vast majority of those jobs being union jobs with a minimum compensation of $80,000 annually. $500 million will be generated annually in gaming tax revenue. The state gaming statute prescribes that much of that revenue be shared with the host community. $50 million will go to Nassau County. $50 million will go to the town of Hempstead. $25 million will go to Suffolk County. Importantly, we will be statutorily and contractually committed to the majority of those local revenues. Additionally, we estimate that $300 to $500 million of annual procurement spend, with a goal of 75% of the spend being in market with small and medium-sized enterprises here on Long Island. The overall result is tens of billions of dollars in economic impact. We will generate unmatched impact by making an outsized investment in the facility to ensure it is sustainable and competitive long-term. Through stunning architecture, open spaces designed for community use, high-end room product, both suites and regular rooms, a 5-star luxury spa experience. You may have read that we have partnered with the Canyon Ranch to operate this facility for us. Captivating interior spaces, and a design that is in fitting with the surrounding area, complete with a reimagined and higher quality Veterans Memorial to uphold the history of the Coliseum's dedication to Nassau County's veterans community. Now I'd like to introduce a colleague of mine, Tracy Edwards, who recently joined Sands as our New York Corporate Social Responsibility Officer. Tracy is going to discuss the exemplary work her and her team are undertaking on both workforce development and community collaboration.
Thank you, Michael. Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, board members, as a business and community leader who has lived on Long Island my whole life and has saw good and bad development as I was the planning board chair leading secret reviews, I am excited to lead the workforce development and diversity strategy on behalf of Sands New York. As Michael mentioned, we anticipate employing 6,000 individuals. Most of these opportunities will be trained right here at Nassau Community College, which will be our training hub, where we collaborated with them and Long Island University to develop a world-class hospitality degree. In addition, our goal is to hire locally. To hospitality, our residents, our students, our unemployed, and our underemployed residents will have an opportunity for jobs in 150 job categories, expanding from hotel, gaming, food and beverage, property operations, security, general, and other administrative positions. We are partnering with EAC to support our local community recruitment plans and EOC of Nassau on job preparation. Approximately 80% of the job opportunities will be union jobs. We executed a neutrality agreement with New York Hotel and Motel Trades Council. We are working with the powerful Long Island Federation of Labor, Building and Construction Trades Councils of Nassau and Suffolk counties. We are also working with minority millennials with Opportunities Long Island to expand these opportunities in an inclusive way. Our application is being developed in collaboration with our working groups that comprise of local leaders that have been doing this work for many years on Long Island. They are the subject matter experts. Our working groups are in environment and sustainability, community partnerships, transportation and infrastructure, public safety, workforce development, and business development and tourism. We have already met 17 times, and we will continue, and we welcome anyone to join us as we move forward. We've had more than 300 community engagements, ranging from one-on-ones with former Governor David Paterson, who you saw this afternoon, to group meetings with over 500 people at our procurement academies. We will have the best application because we are working locally with not-for-profits, labor leaders, community activists, local residents, and Chamber of Commerce's, addressing their concerns and, more importantly, incorporating their ideas. This is and will continue to be a collaboration. We will win because this is our joint plan and not just a SANS application. SANS has a track record already. We have SANS Cares, and we commit to be a great neighbor that goes beyond philanthropic efforts. We are a partner. We already work on accelerator programs with businesses, providing mentorship with HBCUs. The charitable giving and initiatives are not new because this is who we are. These pictures are from the youth initiatives that we've had. We've had 5. Soccer with David Beckham and Carly Lloyd. Football with DeBerkshire Ferguson. Golf with Colin Morakara. And basketball with the Long Island Nets. We've had a season of Sparkle that brought 2,500 people to the Coliseum where we celebrated the holidays. We've launched a SANS Care Global Food Kit addressing food insecurities, and we will extend these programs right here in the Inn, working with Island Harvest. We are embedding ourselves in the community, and we will stay engaged. We've had 3 procurement academies, 2 in Nassau and 1 in Suffolk. Over 1,400 small businesses attended. We will be communicating with these businesses and others that want more information over the course of this year so that they know about our supplier diversity needs and our procurement process. We are not waiting for the award to start. The Chamber of Commerce's are key partners, the Nassau Council of Chambers and the Suffolk Alliance of Chambers, as well as the Hispanic and African American Chamber of Commerce's. We are already working on meeting our New York State MWBE 30% goals for construction and suppliers. We want to ensure that our small businesses right here on Long Island have business opportunities and that we move forward regionally. Long Island deserves this opportunity for this transformational development. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you all for taking the time to hear from us this evening. I'd like to now turn things over to our lead environmental review consultant, Terry Elkowitz from VHB. As she will describe, and I noted earlier, a full comprehensive environmental review will be undertaken to ensure that all possible impacts are identified and appropriately mitigated. And to be clear, SANS will be undertaking any necessary mitigations at our expense.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. As Mr. Levoff said, my name is Terry Elkowitz. I'm a senior principal at VHB with offices at 100 Motor Parkway in Hauppauge. I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening, and I'm going to spend a few minutes just going over the draft scope that we've submitted to the board for review. As Mr. LaSquadro said, the town of Hempstead designated itself as lead agency and is responsible for administering the seeker process. And you issued a positive declaration on December 5th of 2023 that required that the applicant prepare a draft environmental impact statement. And the law requires that that DEIS identify, evaluate, and mitigate impacts associated with the proposed integrated resort. This formal scoping session provides an opportunity for us to hear the public's comments and what they would like us to study in our DEIS. The seeker regulations are very specific, and they prescribe what is required in a draft scope. And our draft scope includes every one of these components. We have provided a description of the proposed action, the integrated resort, the potential impacts that may result from that development, the information and analyses that we need to assess each impact, an initial identification of mitigation measures, and the reasonable alternatives to be considered. Now, the draft scope has been available on the town's website for some time, and it's extremely detailed. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes going over the topics that we're going to evaluate in the DEIS. The DEIS will include a very detailed description of our proposed integrated resorts, of the site design, of all of the facets of the resort. We'll then evaluate the impacts on soils, topography, and subsurface conditions. We will then look at water resources, and we know water resources has been a critical issue for the town, and we will be studying groundwater, water supply, including the proposal to install a new water supply well, sanitary discharge, stormwater management, and water conservation measures that SANS is committing to. We will evaluate ecological resources, land use, zoning, and community character. And we have a study area for the land use, zoning, and community character section that goes far beyond any other I have been involved with in the 35 years that I've been preparing EISs. We will have an extensive transportation and parking evaluation. We are looking at 114 locations, and we are studying 5 critical hours: the weekday AM and PM peak commuter periods, and a Friday evening peak hour, Saturday midday peak hour, and Saturday evening peak hour that looks at a combination of our peak site traffic as well as the adjacent roadway traffic. We're doing a seasonal traffic review of summer and end-of-year holiday periods, a review of access and parking, bicycle and pedestrians, transit, shuttles that SANS is committing to providing, as well as the other mitigation that will be implemented. Air quality is another important topic that we will be evaluating in the DEIS, particularly as the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has designated the Hempstead, Newcastle, Roosevelt, Uniondale, Westbury area as a disadvantaged community with disproportionate air impacts under its existing condition. We are looking at the air monitoring data. We are evaluating both stationary and mobile sources. We will do a noise and vibration analysis. We'll be evaluating public health and problem gambling. There will be an extensive socioeconomic section that will document the tax revenues to be generated, as well as all of the SANS voluntary payments, contributions, and funding commitments. We will do an assessment of construction costs and employment, training programs, and labor agreements that SANS is committing to. We will evaluate permanent employment, and the EIS will contain a full build economic and fiscal impact analysis. Community facilities and services will be evaluated. We will do an aesthetic evaluation. We will look at cultural resources, use and conservation of energy and utility demand. we will be outlining extensive sustainability commitments that SANS is making in our greenhouse gas, climate change, and sustainability section. We'll be evaluating construction impacts. We'll also be doing a cumulative impact analysis because SEQR requires that we not only evaluate the impact of our proposal, but also the cumulative impact of other pending proposals. And we have already contacted the towns of Hempstead and North Hempstead, the villages of Garden City, Hempstead, Mineola, Westbury, and Freeport to identify those other pending applications for us to analyze. And we will also include an analysis of the contemplated NYU Langone Hospital at Nassau Community College. The DEIS will also document any unavoidable adverse impacts, commitments of resources, positive growth-inducing impacts that we may have, and alternatives, including the SEQR-mandated no action and redevelopment of the Coliseum property in the event a gaming license is not awarded. Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, this concludes the summary of the topics that we will be evaluating in the DEIS. I thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing the public's comments.
Thank you, Terry. Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, that concludes our presentation. We are going to be relocating to the area of seats right over there.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now is the portion where we begin the public comment section. I will be calling up people by name, and I will point out you have 2 microphones over here to the left side as you're looking up, and the right side as well. Let's just remind people again, look, we have 3 minutes. If you need to go over the 3 minutes, you can write something, you can email us. It will be made part of the record. We had a very successful meeting this morning. I'll give you an example of Mr. Ralston from the Sierra Club. He spoke and had additional additions. He's already emailed me, and we've already made that part of the record. So I just want everybody, also let's remember, let's all be respectful of one another in the room, all right? We don't need a screaming, applauding, cheer, cheer, yell, yell. We're not going to conduct the meeting this way. As I've said to everybody in the beginning, we're not having this in town hall because we want you to come to the meetings. We wanted to make sure it was a location, and we're providing that venue. And we're going to continue to provide that venue for every single one of these hearings as it goes forward. That is the commitment this town board has made to everybody in this room, to the residents in the town of Hempstead, and the residents in Nassau County. So we're asking everybody to be respectful, work with one another, and let's have a productive, positive meeting. And we will start by bringing up Matthew Arasich. And when you please come forward, if you just give your name and address, that would be great. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor. Matthew Arasich, 390 Rab Road Drive, Hauppauge, New York, president of the Nassau Suffolk Building Trades. I want to make a gesture of good faith and say I think this is a great thing. So, Mr. Supervisor, Deputy Supervisors, everybody on the town board, Mr. LaSquadro, and even the panel at the end with my friend Mr. Duffy. This is a great thing for Long Island. Nassau County, town of Hempstead, you're looking at an opportunity which has never been presented like this before. You saw $6 billion in the last presentation. What you're also looking at is the opportunity for jobs. Working with pre-apprentice programs and apprentice programs gives us the opportunity to take people from the community and make sure that they don't have jobs, they have careers. They have life-saving careers, which actually gives them the amount of benefits, that gives them retirement, it gives them security. All the things they need, but most importantly, it gives them safety. Safety is the most important component in the building trades. In addition to all the things we're talking about, we know that if you're talking about economic impact, the economic impact starts with the building trades. We say that for a different reason. We are the barometer for the economy. I'm going to do some math here. It's going to be very quick, and you can follow along. You don't even have to use a calculator. We did a pre-apprentice program up in Huntington with a concept of using 19 people. When they graduate, they have a minimum wage of $75 an hour in their package. So, now this is where the math starts. 19 times 75 times 40 hours a week times 48 weeks a year comes out to how much money? Anybody have an idea? It's $2.7 million. Now, if they never got another raise over 30 years, never got another raise, that would actually accumulate to $82 million. That's 19 people. I have 65,000 members in the council. you can understand how impactful this is when you're looking at a project which gives you the ability to take people from the surrounding communities and give them the opportunity that everybody else has. When I say that, we're doing the right thing and partnering with SANS and partnering with the community, partnering with labor organizations, partnering with Nassau Community College to make sure that they have the route to get people into the project, into the building trades. And each one of these jobs doesn't end here because they have the skill that now translates to go to another project. Now, between this project, between the project that we have over in Belmont and Midway Crossing, that's going to take 20,000 workers. 20,000. That is the opportunity of a lifetime to make sure we're getting the things we need to do. And if you're talking about a lifetime, let's talk about a lifetime of employment. Lifetime of employment is maybe 40 years. That's how much longer we've been waiting for something to happen at this site. 4 decades. This is the opportunity to make sure we can make something here and make the opportunity. Because imagine if I just told you about the economic activity here, translate it to 40 years ago, and that's where we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. In addition, ladies and gentlemen, if I mispronounce your name, it is not intentional. Please don't be insulted, and feel free to correct me, as many people like to. Chris Rosa? Good evening, Ms. Rosa. If you give your name and address to the record, thank you. Nope, give you a little assistance there in a second.
Thank you. Please.
There you go. Oh,
Thank you.
there it's on. There you go.
Oh, better. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate it. What a great mic stand. Great. Good evening. I'm Chris Rosa. I'm President and CEO of the Viscardi Center, 201 IU Willits Road, Albertson. Thank you, Town Supervisor and distinguished members of the council. It's my honor to be here with you tonight. I wanted to extend my sincere thanks to the town for moving this hearing out of our beloved town hall and into this very accessible space to accommodate everyone. We really appreciate it. As I said, I'm President and CEO of the Viscardi Center, a network of nonprofit organizations based in Nassau County that educate, employ, and empower New Yorkers with disabilities and their families across the life cycle. And it's the SANS New York Project's potential for creating resource and opportunity streams that support the education, employment, and empowerment of New Yorkers with disabilities in general, and of more than 250,000 Nassau County residents with disabilities in particular, that brings me here tonight and makes the Viscardi Center an enthusiastic supporter of the SANS proposal to develop its multi-billion-dollar project here on Long Island. Specifically, the SANS project projects the generation of more than $100 million annually to county government and school districts. Historically, the Viscardi Center has collaborated creatively and dynamically with county government to deliver high-impact, inclusive education to medically fragile students in our renowned Henry Viscardi School, and career and independent living development to participants in our Abilities Incorporated programs. We believe that this revenue stream would position the county to partner with Viscardi and other Long Island peer disability empowerment organizations to dramatically expand educational and employment opportunities for Nassau residents with disabilities. Arguably the most transformative dimension of the SANS project for Long Islanders with disabilities would be the creation of good-paying, competitive employment opportunities. In a recent released State of the State Policy book, Governor Hochul reminded us that when it comes to employment for people with disabilities, New York remains below the U.S. average. Furthermore, the poverty rate among working-age New Yorkers with disabilities is more than double those without disabilities. And yet, New Yorkers with disabilities yearn for inclusion in the workforce. The SANS New York project would create those conditions by generating good-paying jobs in close proximity to the homes of Nassau residents with disabilities, performed in gleaming new spaces constructed in accordance with the principles of barrier-free universal design. Indeed, Viscardi and other disability employment-focused organizations are currently in discussion with the SANS to establish the talent pipelines necessary.
Mr. Rosa, I see you have the statement there. If you'd like us to take the statement and make it part of the record, we'd be delighted to.
Thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you very much for coming in. And Andrew Oyedela from Amityville. Andrew? Okay. Yep. Hi, good evening. If you name and address for the record.
Andrew Iodigi, 24 Ira Court, Amityville, New York.
Not too bad. Good evening.
Good evening. I appreciate you guys having me to speak. Like I said, I'm Andrew Iodigi. I'm from Amityville, New York. I'm the founder of Boulder Mac Park Summer League, also the founder of the MAC Academy. That's an acronym for Making Athletes Career Knowledgeable. So it's like a one-stop shop where you could come get athletic training, but also come get like career readiness advice, come get financial literacy training, so on and so forth. We tapped in with hundreds of thousands of youth across Long Island, especially in the Nassau community. I just think it's a great thing. We've been working with the pre-apprenticeship programs, the apprenticeship programs with Opportunity Long Island. I think it's a great opportunity for Long Island to kind of jump ahead, get some people involved in the workforce thing, and I'm in full support, and everybody that's around me is in full support as well. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to come in. Next, I have Karen Reardon. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record.
Karen Reardon, Manhasset. I want to make sure elected officials understand what is at stake if Las Vegas Sands gets the opportunity to build its mammoth casino. Our communities will be shattered, and our quality of life in the suburbs will forever be threatened. Sands has filed documents acknowledging the following. This is a mammoth structure, over 1.5 times the size of Roosevelt Fields Mall, and the casino floor is the size of 7 football fields. They acknowledge that the property is part of the former Mitchell Field Air Force Base, and the excavation may encounter residual contamination. I ask you, should the former Air Force Base be disturbed, as the potential impact on our fragile water supply is unknown? We don't know if this could have a result in the unexpected discharge of chemicals. I would also like to know whether there are any existing deed restrictions on this property. Traffic. Sands acknowledges that the traffic impact on this for this project will be significant. Have you alerted the neighborhoods impacted by this monumental disruption, and how are you doing so? Are you using the word casino, traffic, etc.? Lighting. Sands acknowledges that the structure will also cause significant lighting pollution. I expect that this analysis will include a photometric plan. Are you aware that the bright light beam at the Luxor Casino in Vegas has attracted thousands upon thousands of bugs and now bats? How does the lighting plan impact our local ecology and neighboring homes, the Hempstead Plains? Let's talk crime. The deadliest mass shooting ever in the United States happened in Las Vegas. I will read to you Shannon Watts, the founder of Moms Demand Action's tweet from April 23, 2023. The gunman who killed 60 people at the 2017 Las Vegas shooting had lost tens of thousands of dollars while gambling just weeks before the mass shooting and was upset how the casinos had treated him, according to the new FBI documents. Now, Sands has committed to fund a police station on the premise and up to $1.8 million for additional security. Why? Because they know crime will go up if the casino is built. Why would you put your constituents at risk? Addiction. Did you know that the American Psychiatric Association has listed gambling disorder as addictive as opioids and heroin? And among the three, it has the highest suicide rate. Imagine if you had had the opportunity to stop the opioid crisis from threatening our suburbs. Would you have? Well, here's your chance to protect our suburbs from a variety of harms. My point is, from the environment to addiction to traffic, the unintended and heartbreaking crime this casino will bring to your friends and loved ones, approving this project is reckless and will destroy our suburban quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reardon. Next, I have Jojo Mulculky. How you doing? If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening, Jojo Makutsky, 80 Lafayette Street, Copic, New York, and I work in Plainview. I work for a small business owner in Nassau County. As a woman who has worked both in the hospitality sector and now in the construction side of the industry, I firmly believe that Sands, New York, has consistently delivered excellence. I have full confidence that they will continue to uphold integrity in their endeavors. Moreover, the project they are undertaking not only addresses concerns about infrastructure, traffic, water, and energy, but also actively works to enhance these aspects.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Monica Keeley.
Don, it's Kylie.
Okay, I apologize. Monica Kiley?
Okay, casinos are not economic engines, and they do not lift up the places where they are. No, I didn't speak this morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen, stop the clock. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're keeping a record of everybody who spoke. I'm just going to ask everybody again. We're not going to interrupt speakers. We're going to be really, really polite to one another. We're going to have a really nice meeting here. I promise you right now, we know who spoke. We have a record of it all. So please, go on.
Thank you. Okay, casinos are not economic engines, and they do not lift up the places where they are. Casinos do not create wealth. They extract wealth from their surroundings in the same way that a parasite extracts the lifeblood from its host. Why would we want a casino here? We are not a hard-up, desperate county that is out of our options. In fact, we are one of the wealthiest counties in the country. The Sands is not coming here to make us rich. The Sands is coming here to get rich at our expense. They are expecting to take in $2 billion a year of gambling losses. This is money diverted away from our downtowns, away from our restaurants, and into Sands coffers. Studies have shown that 75% of casino gamblers produce only 4% of the revenues. These are casual gamblers, occasional gamblers. The remaining 25% of casino gamblers generate a whopping 96% of casino revenues. These are habitual gamblers, people who have a gambling problem or who have developed a full-on gambling addiction. The casino industry says they want to help problem gamblers, but that's ridiculous when their whole business model relies on problem gamblers and gambling addicts. That's where the money comes from. Recently, Sands representative Michael Levoff was asked why the Sands wants to come to Nassau County. He acknowledged that the casino probably wouldn't generate a lot of tourism and that the clientele would probably be people from Nassau County. But he also noted that we like the demographics here. Again, we are the targets. The casino industry is a predatory industry, and we are its target. Lost my place. Jeff Reynolds of the Family and Children's Association says it's okay to locate a casino between two colleges because the kids can gamble on their phones anyway. Well, he should be ashamed of himself because he knows better. Anybody who works with addiction treatment knows that the more available something is, the more addiction is created and the more new addicts are created. We already have a crisis with cell phone gambling and sports betting.
Okay.
Why do we want to throw gasoline on that
Ms. Kiley,
fire?
you can, I know you have more, so if you'd like to add it in an email, we will make that part of the record. Next, I have up a C. Zarro. C. Zarro? C. Zarro, Uniondale? Okay. Julie Marquezela? Hi, good evening. If you your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening, Supervisor and ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Julie Marcasella, 29 Merrick Avenue, Merrick, and also 325 Hempstead Turnpike, Elmont. I am a past president of the Nassau Council of Chambers of Commerce, president of the Elmont Chamber of Commerce, and a past president of the Merrick Chamber of Commerce. I am also a member of the Elmont Auxiliary for Sustainable Development. I have seen major development come and go and ideas come and go in the 35 years that I have been involved in chambers of commerce and small business. Working with the Sands has been a pleasure. They have engaged us from the get-go. They want to see our small businesses succeed. They want to incorporate us in their plan. I find that working with them, and unlike working with the UBS Arena, promises were made and never kept to the Elmont community. However, working with the Sands, like I said before, they have engaged us. They have been at many of our community events and allowed our businesses a say in how they will run their business, incorporating us. As far as economic development is concerned, this is a benefit for not just the town of Hempstead, but Nassau County and New York State. As far as tourism is concerned, we have beautiful beaches, we have beautiful museums, and we have places of interest. Why should they go out to Suffolk and Montauk when they can stay right here and spend their money here? As far as a convention center, we are between two airports, which will bring other people into our communities to spend money here. Again, it is a pleasure working with the Sands, and we look forward to a future working with them. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Sammy Chu. Could you, Mr. Chu, if you give your name and address for the record?
Sammy Chu. I am a resident of Lindenhurst, and my business, Edgewise Energy, is located at 43 Werman Court in Plainview. CEO of Edgewise Energy. I also serve as a longtime chair of the U.S. Green Building Council Long Island chapter. My opinions are my own, but formed over nearly 2 decades of work in sustainability in the public sector, the private sector, and as an advocate. I've had the pleasure of serving as the co-chair of the Energy and Environment Working Group, Community Working Group for Sands. I also served in a similar role for the previous contemplation for this site. In the context of those working groups, we have worked together, bringing together sector professionals from all backgrounds in sustainability, as well as community members. We've covered topics such as water consumption, water waste, solid waste, energy, and others. And as conversations have progressed, and now as this project has gone into design, it is very clear that despite being a global leader in sustainability already, Sands has taken all of the community input on these topics, all the things that were gathered, all of the opinions that were gathered and prioritized by the community in cooperation with sustainability experts, and prioritized them. I have the utmost confidence that this project will be done in a way that will be responsible and a leader in economic development, social equity, and most relevant to this conversation, environmental sustainability. I'm here to very much support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Next, I have Olina Amaya. Hi, good evening. If you name and address for the record.
That's okay. I'm Olivia Amaya.
Listen, I apologize to everybody right in the beginning of this whole thing, all right?
That's okay. You did good. And thank you for the opportunity. Olivia Amaya. I live in 156 Tarpon Avenue in Medford. I'm speaking in 2 capacities, as an employee of a global company running distribution of our natural stone right here out of Hicksville. You know, I've seen from the front seat how we can have an impact on a community. I see the positive impact a company like Sands can have on helping to rebuild a community with jobs and recurring revenues, and I feel that they'll manage this with respect and integrity, addressing concerns about infrastructure, traffic, water, and energy. As a resident, lifelong resident of Long Island, mother of 4 kids, it's exciting to just hear how much they do take and put attention into working with our kids. I mean, my kids, you know, we're always looking at, you know, are they going to leave New York? I mean, how many more residents are we going to lose and have and go out? But having opportunities that they're embracing even in our education system and then into offering employment, it's just, you know, it's exciting. And, you know, why do I have to always go to Mohegan Sun? So why not put Long Island on the map as a destination? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Mitchell Scholar. Good evening, if you name and address for the record.
Mitchell Scola, 1538 Cleveland Avenue, East Meadow, New York. Good evening, Supervisor and Town Board. This property here has been stagnant for decades. It's great for economic growth in Nassau and Long Island. It will infuse millions and millions of dollars over the course of the time that they'll be here, which is hopefully infinite. The Sands are great people. They employ they want to employ thousands of union workers. And me being a union shop, I'm very proud to say that the Sands took me in and part of their family, and they're just great people to work with. So in order to keep Long Island afloat and hopefully our taxes lower, this is a great opportunity for this area. So I am for the Sands.
Thank you, Mr. Scola. Next, I have John Durso. Good evening, Mr. Durso. If you give your name and address of the record.
Good evening, Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, Town Board members. My name is John Durso, Belmore, New York, 40-plus year resident of the town of Hempstead. I am also the president of the Long Island Federation of Labor, representing some 250,000 members and families here on Long Island, many of whom are in this room tonight. I stand here to proudly say that we as an organization stand firmly behind the Sands project. We do it not just for the jobs, but for the careers, the opportunity for Long Island to benefit from a $6 billion project, the opportunity for young people in our community to afford to stay here on Long Island and not leave for other places, for an opportunity for people in disadvantaged communities to have an opportunity for the great careers that people can have with a union contract. This project, many of us have been through different variations of what was going to happen at the Coliseum. But this is the first time in all the years that I'm doing this, and I'm an old guy, okay? This is where you say you don't look it, okay? But we have seen so many variations. But this is the first time that a company like this has come out to the community, has spoken to the people, have had hundreds of meetings, and have said, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? How can we help? Who can we address? And they have done it day in and day out, okay? And they have listened and they have incorporated the people's ideas and suggestions. They did not come here and say, this is what we're doing. They have asked. They have inquired, and they have listened and learned. And they have hired some of the finest people who know our community. You heard from Tracy Edwards, who has done an outstanding, magnificent job. You heard from Terry Elkowitz, who is one of the finest people in her field, who talked about their concern for our environment. This is not a company that is going to come in, drop a project and go out. They are part of our community. They will continue to be part of our community, and we appreciate what you're doing here tonight and listening to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durso. I do want the record to reflect I was not going to tell him he looked young at all. Next, I'm going to pick out Ms. Krug, Lynn Krug. Good evening, Ms. Krug. If you give me an address of the record.
Hi, I'm Lynn Krug, 2 Weidler Court, Garden City, New York. First, I'm very grateful that this forum is taking place. It's been a long time coming, but I hope you'll forgive some skepticism on my part if I observe that the notice that was sent out about this hearing didn't say casino, sands, or gambling. I respectfully request that notices going forward are more explicit. And this is the notice I'm referring to. I'll extend some of that concern to your choice of Nelson and Pope to guide the process, a choice that was made almost immediately after the now nullified lease was signed. It doesn't appear that this contract was bid out to any other qualified entities. If this contract was paid by the Sands, then that's even more concerning to me. I'm concerned because of what was widely reported about a contract for similar services with another town on the East End. In that contract, they agreed to neutralize and discredit opposition as NIMBY. Can you reassure all of us here in opposition that the nature of this engagement is not the same? We want to trust that our local government is looking out for us. But when these things come to light, and when these issues clearly benefit those who wish to act against the will of the people, the ability to trust is challenged. And for the record, if there's any question about what the will of the people is, I'll note that the only published poll on this subject showed that more Nassau residents oppose this project than support it. The will of the people is no casino. And as awareness increases, the opposition will surely grow. Lastly, there's been a lot of talk among casino advocates that gambling is already widespread and pervasive on smartphones. I ask, how is that an argument in favor of building a 9-acre casino next to 2 colleges, Nassau Community and Hofstra? It's like saying the house is already on fire. Let's drop a tank of gas on it. I stand in favor of smart development. We can do better, but I stand opposed to the casino. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to express my viewpoint.
Thank you, Ms. Krug. Next, I'm going to bring up Jack Lang. Good evening. You give your name and address to the record. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jack Lang. I'm a resident of Bayshore, and I'm a council representative for the North Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, Local 290 here on Long Island. On behalf of over 1,000 union carpenters, I'm speaking in favor of the Sands project and cannot overstate the monumental economic impact that this project will have on our community. The number of local union jobs this project will create, not only temporary construction positions, but also permanent jobs once operational, will allow those employed the financial stability to keep the community thriving as well as retain them as contributing residents in a time where we're witnessing a mass exodus from Long Island as well as New York State. This is the type of project that would assist in making Long Island a destination for tourism, growth, development, and opportunity. But most importantly, it will give back to the community economically in the form of employment for hardworking middle-class union tradespeople whom live, work, play, and keep the community booming. For these reasons, Carpenters Local Union 290 fully supports this project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Annette Sella. Hi, Ms. Sella. If you can please give your name and address to the record. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Annette Sella, 1255 Cambria Street, Uniondale. I live directly across from the Nassau Coliseum, so this project would really affect my family who's lived in Uniondale for 60 years and all of my neighbors. We really do not want this Coliseum. I'm also 295 local out of JFK, so I do understand that jobs are necessary. But really, I'm hoping and praying that something else can come to the Coliseum. This is something that's going to be there 24/7. I do not know how I'm going to get out of Uniondale with all the traffic that's going to come. The crime, people walking in the streets, that's a deep concern of mine. The noise, the pollution, I don't even know once if this goes through, if I flush my toilet, if it's going to go down. Okay? Another thing that hasn't been spoken about is drunk driving. You want to win, you're happy, you get some booze in you, let's drink. You lose, you're upset, let me have another drink, okay? So you're going on the Meadowbrook Parkway, you're going on the street, you hit another person, you can kill somebody with a drunk driving. That's serious, and that's going to be blood on everybody's hands. So really what I want to say is, this is like putting a big circle in a small square. So I say no to the casino. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Brian Kearney. Brian Kearney. Good evening, if you give me name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Brian Carney. I'm the president of the Steamfitters Local Union 638. We represent Nassau, Suffolk, and New York City. I'm going to read. So I represent 9,400 hardworking construction workers in New York City and Long Island. It's important to note that the Sands building an integrated resort here in Nassau is once in a generation opportunity to create vital economic hub for the region that will create thousands of good paying jobs long after the construction is done, as well for the many more of the 65,000 men and women who make up the membership of our brothers and sisters in the other unionized building trades in Nassau and Suffolk. This opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When was the last time we had a $6 billion project on Long Island? It hasn't happened. And Sands, thank you for all your work that you've done. Thank you for all your ability to work with us and reach out to us, and your commitment to build union. That's the start of the project for us. And just as importantly, Sands' engagement with the workforce in the community will not end with the construction of the project. Long after we're gone, Sands has shown a commitment to Long Island's labor movement and the community leaders to actively engage and partner with the unions, the institutions of higher education, and leaders to ensure that this project is a catalyst for creating good-paying jobs for Long Islanders, both at the facility and also for the local businesses around. An integrated resort is an opportunity to invest in the region and inject billions of dollars into the local economy. It's also an opportunity to inject millions of dollars, tax dollars. Other places where casinos are, they support the communities around. It's amazing the money that goes in, and it's not just a casino, it's not just gambling. It's a convention center and it's hotels, and the gambling is what brings the convention centers. We as an organization have conventions all over the country, and we bring thousands of members and spend millions of dollars every year. That should come here. Long Islanders are leaving Long Island to go spend their money in other cities, and that can be done here. There's highways, there's airports around to support it. In closing, I reiterate my union's support for the project and would like to call to attention the painstaking approach that Sands has taken to listen to the community and the labor movement in crafting their proposal for this project and tailoring it to the needs of the region, its workforce, and its local business community. It is imperative that we invest in the next generation of Long Islanders. We had 200,000 New Yorkers leave in the last 2 years because of the high taxes. And for the person that says that, we're not hard up, I'm glad you're doing very well, but I pay $15,300 a year in property taxes, and if any development can help alleviate some of that, I'm there for it.
Thank you very much,
everybody.
Appreciate you coming down. Next, I'm going to call up Julie Berger. Ms. Berger? Hi, Ms. Berger. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
I'm Julie Berger, 195 Norman Drive, East Meadow, just on the other side of the Meadowbrook Parkway. I am very against this casino for all of the reasons of the crime, the traffic, the environment, everything that my Say No to the Casino people have said. But I'm listening, and I'm disappointed, Mr. Clavin, that you used the continuing transparent process on your flyer, because it has not been transparent. As my friend said over there, where's the word casino on this? We see a lot of union people here. I am 1199 Healthcare Union, so I am a union person as well. And all of my construction union people, I'm for you also, but we could build something else. Something that's healthier for Nassau County. Something that's not terrible for Nassau County. But I'm going on a sidebar right here. I have heard some certain things. I've heard all the money that's going to be coming to the county. So I ask the legislators who are not sitting here, but we know who they are, the 17 legislators that voted for this, the one that abstained, and I thank you, Glenn Cove, for that, and Kavan Abrahams, who had the decency to not even vote. Why? Because he has a family member related to the Sands. He has the decency. Ms. Miller, I think you should not be voting on this as well. And as far as Bruce Blakeman goes, somehow he's got a relative related to Dr. Adelson, so I think he should be pulling out also. But here's my big point. We're going to take in all this money if this thing gets built. Here's my thing. How do I trust my legislators to spend that money wisely? Because my same legislators just agreed with Bruce Blakeman to take the COVID extra money for golf tournaments and parties and concerts, instead of using it to fix the 4 potholes at the end of my driveway, and using it for mental health, and using it where the constituents need it. We do not need a 125-year-old party for Nassau County. We need bright legislation, and we need a county executive whose head isn't so big, okay? We need smart spending. So if this goes through, and I pray that it does not, I want to know that my legislators will take that money and use it for us, the way we need it, for our education, for our health care, for mental health, for our roads. Help us. This is not helping us. This is only helping the Sands. And as far as them uniting with all the communities and David Beckham and Carly Lloyd, that's not collaborating, that's bribery. That's crazy. The bribery is insane, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more people filling their pockets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Berger. We appreciate it. Next, I'm going to call up, ladies and gentlemen, again, I've respectfully asked everybody, there are people on this side, there are people on this side. Let's not turn it into a problem. Let's give the residents, let's give anybody who wants an opportunity to speak, to be heard, and move it along orderly. I really, like I said, this afternoon, everybody was very, very respectful, and everyone's done a great job tonight. Let's continue that way. And with that, we're going to ask Anthony Amendola to please come up. Mr. Amendola? Okay. I have Mike Jacobs.
Wow.
Good evening,
I'm
Mr.
excited.
Jacobs. If you can give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike Jacobs, Montauk, New York. This sounds so exciting to listen to the promoters. There's one problem. It's based on a lie. It's based on gambling, not gaming. The word is gambling, a word they have a hard time putting out. I had a father who was an addicted gambler. I don't want to go into all the stories, but I'll tell you this. The decision makers in this can't worry about potholes or this or that. You have to worry about the morality of the issue. And the morality of this issue is that you are taking the less fortunate, you are taking those that are more poor, and you are feeding, trying to raise revenues based on nothing different than someone that's pushing crack cocaine. It is wrong. It is not right. And I'm telling you, against this project, this is a David and Goliath. Look, my first job was a union shop in Island Park, New York, Island Plumbing. I fully understand how much work this can mean to the unions, fully. But I'm telling you that you know, there's an old phrase, I worked in Dalton, Georgia, and the phrase was, I'll change one word slightly, you can't shine crap. And what's happening here is the people that are behind this project don't understand that this money is not going to come from the Good Tooth Fairy. This money is going to come from people who are addicted to gambling, not gaming, and this project is wrong on a moral basis, not because of drunk drivers. And yes, we are going to turn our beautiful Nassau County into Atlantic City. There's no excuse for it. We're already creeping into Queens. It's happening in front of our eyes. But if you value the neighborhoods that we live in, if you don't want to see the Meadowbrook Parkway jammed, don't go for the short-term gain. We must work harder, we must work smarter, and it's the responsibility of every one of the decision makers on this board to look past the lie and not go into the gaming and the hotels. You are working against what is good for people, and this should be killed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Next, I have Patty Knapp. Hi, how you doing? If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Patty Knapp, Garden City. I think a lot of people forget that the basic premise of a casino is that most people lose most of the time. So there's a lot of fallacies going around about how much revenue this is going to bring in. Any revenue is going to be pulled from already existing businesses and restaurants. So, you know, you can turn things around to make it sound positive, but there's so many negatives. And there's no reason to be doing an analysis on the water and the ground when analysis of existing casinos have already been done all over the country. And before you get into the soil and the water, what about the crime, the decreased property values, drunk driving, and just a deteriorated economy in general? I mean, you can just see it if you go to Atlantic City. You don't need a study. I was at a hearing at the Nassau County Courthouse a couple of months ago. A gentleman stood up and talked about gambling addiction in his family. And before he finished, a guy from Sands raised his hand. He looked very excited and very optimistic. And I thought, well, what's his fabulous solution? He goes, we're perfectly willing to put an addiction center right on the premises. I mean, are you serious? Does Alcoholics Anonymous have meetings in bars? Like, come to the gambling addiction meeting at 7, and then you can go over and gamble and drink. And yeah, there is telephone gambling, but I understand it's nowhere near as powerful and addictive as in-person gambling. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with the social factor and the drinking and being out and having fun. But when you're talking about the benefit to our community and our youth, you know, you're comparing apples and oranges. Okay, great, somebody's got a job. But if they're depressed, and we know the depression rates, and more people that are depressed tend to gamble and drink more, and now they are stealing because they've lost money, and they're suicidal, who cares if he's got a job? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knapp. Thank you very much. Next, I have Donna Karatis. Donna Karatis. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Donna Karatis, and thank you for having me here tonight. I'm in Middle Island, New York, and I have a business in Holtzville. I, like most of us, have to leave the state to enjoy gambling, to see shows, staying in a nice hotel, and a spa vacation. It would be nice to be able to spend my hard-earned money in my own state than going to New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania, which Pennsylvania is my favorite. We also lost the Jets and the Giants. How much more revenue do we have to lose to New Jersey before Long Island opens its eyes? More and more people are leaving Long Island. It would be nice to have more vacationers here. We have beautiful beaches, we have museums, we have everything that they can do right here and stay in one place and drive to wherever they want to go. More and more people are leaving Long Island. I was at a meeting last week where I was told that 2,000 people a week are leaving New York. That's ridiculous, people. My own nieces and nephews have left the state for greener pastures. My friends and family are telling their children, go to a state school out of state so that when you graduate, you can get a job where you are to get away from here. How many more people do we have to lose before we do something? We need to make this a destination so they can go to the beaches, museums, enjoy being here. I'm tired of having to take the bridges, the tunnels, everything to get out, to spend my money and go someplace else when I can just do it here and go spend somewhere nice. That's a 45-minute ride, and I can spend the night. There were times when I was younger that we had, the Nassau Coliseum, we would go to boat shows, RV shows, all of these things, and we don't have any of that anymore. What happened to all that? So that's all I'd like to say. I am for building the casino and building a resort area.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. Next, I have Robert Wilson. Good evening. If you give your name and address of the record, thank you.
Good evening. Robert Wilson. I'm with the Operating Engineers Local 30. I raised my family in Franklin Square. My daughter's raising her family in Garden City, just a few miles from here. Never in my life have I seen such an opportunity for us to boost our economy and create family-sustaining jobs for generations to come. On behalf of the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 30, we support this project, and we don't think there's any better partner than the Sands to go forward with this project. I thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Simon Vardy. Simon Vardy. Okay. Chris Mills. Mr. Mills. Okay. Steve Ilardi. Good evening. If you name and address for the record, thank you.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. Steve Ilardi, Garden City, New York. A little different spin on the conversation that's been going on. Back in December 15th, Newsday reported that the town of Hempstead officials said that they were halting the state-mandated environmental review of the project until further notice due to the lease agreement being halted. Sands is seeking to change the zoning of the property for its project, which triggered the town's study of the environmental impact under state law known as SEQA. Town Supervisor Don Clavin told Newsday, after reviewing the opinion with outside counsel, with the town attorney, as well as my chief of staff, we're of the opinion that the process has now been put on hold pending further action by Nassau County or additional clarification from the courts. On January 9th, on Newsday, Town Supervisor Don Clavin referred questions to Stephen LaSquadro, the town's special counsel for land use matters. LaSquadro said he was unaware of any communication from the anti-casino group to the town clerk's office or the town board. Part of that issue may be that back on October 3rd at the Town of Hempstead board meeting, Town Supervisor Don Clavin and Councilman Thomas Mascarella left the public comment session as soon as the public left the meeting as soon as the public comment session started and the anti-casino people spoke. So I'm glad that you're here tonight listening to the people, and I'm hoping that you take everyone's concerns with the public concerns with the problems that come associated with gambling in a casino in the middle of Nassau County. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I have Richard Catalano.
Richard Catalano, Garden City, New York.
Good evening.
Thank you. I'm going to just touch upon some of the statements I heard about the economics as a CPA. The time when communities can attract visitors to gamble is long over. There's casinos everywhere. The vast majority of the $2 billion in gambling losses each and every year will likely mostly come from Nassau County residents. It's known if you build a casino and you make it more available, people end up losing more and more money. As was said before, casinos do not bring wealth into a community, they extract wealth from a community. And they're an economic drain, not an economic engine. And all the taxes that we talk about that's going to come into the town of Hempstead and the county is really just a percentage of the gambling losses for the people that visit the casino. For every $100 you lose in a casino, $25 is taxes. And of that $25, $20 goes to Albany, leaving very little locally. But it's just people's losses, which are the taxes. What's going to happen in Nassau County is that people are not going to be spending money in their local restaurants and our local downtowns, and they will be weakened. And those purchases are subject to sales tax. When you lose money in a casino, it's not subject to sales tax. There's no double counting of revenues. Sands is planning to build this casino in 2 stages. Stage 1, they're going to convert the Coliseum to a casino and build a parking lot. And so they can start raking in hundreds of millions of dollars of profits. That will help them pay for phase 2. So ironically, the Long Islanders are going to end up paying for a good part of the casino with their own gambling losses. So that's just something to consider when they brag about the big investment. Many people here are praising Sands for listening to them and holding listening meetings. Well, there's a reason why they were doing that listening, because getting a license to operate a casino is really a license to print money in New York State. They know what's at stake. They expect, it's very conservatively, they could easily increase their bottom line by $350 million a year. That's why they can be so generous and bring in David Beckman and have basketball clinics and things of that nature. They know what's at stake for them. It's an enormous opportunity for them to raise the value of their company by billions of dollars. So that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. And one final thing I want to say is that there's definitely going to be DWI fatalities. We know how casinos operate. We know about the free drinks that are given out. We know people like to drink when they go gambling. And you're talking about putting an extra 100 drunk drivers on our roads every single day. How do you think that's going to end? It's not going to end well. And you have to consider that in the secret study. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Catalano. Next, I have Brandon Wilson. Brandon Wilson?
See that fella?
Are you Brandon Wilson? I am not. Then you can hang out for a second. If you're the guy who stepped out, I'm going to get your name. Don't worry about it, okay? All right. Alcina Gooseby. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Alcina Gooseby, 31 Lawson Street, Hempstead, New York. I was writing down comments because I didn't want to go over, but I just want to say quickly, for the past 26 years, I've worked in the financial arena, and the first 10 years I worked on Wall Street, and the last 16 I've been a private equity investor. The last 4 years, I have been able to stay on Long Island instead of commuting, though I love the Long Island Railroad, leaving my home before it was light and coming home usually at 10 p.m. or later sometimes. Why? Because I had to entertain clients, go to conferences, all in New York City. One thing that the Sands Integrated Resort brings, not only revenue, not only economic development and tourism, but it will make Long Island a world-class destination, something that is sorely needed here. I wrote down a few other things, but I just want to say quickly that in addition to not having to go to New York City for conferences, I can bring clients to this world-class development, entertain them, that they can stay there if they want, because it's just tough to always have to go to New York City. And I'm just being selfish. But I also wanted to mention that this is a chance to have an inclusive Long Island, because for very long, as many of us know, people who look like me have not been included, whether it's where we live, where we work, and this is a time to level the playing field. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know you stepped out, and I'll get you Mr. Mills. If you give your name and address for the record when you get to the mic. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Mills. I'm from Freeport, Long Island. First and foremost, I want to apologize to the board and the community for my tardiness. It's inexcusable in my opinion, but again, I'm here right now, so.
Dude, it's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, this is my second time speaking to a crowd this big, so bear with me. I'm with Jones Beach Brewing Company, where, you know, our passion is for great beer. You guys interested? That said, our commitment is to Long Island's environment. If you look at our logo, it's the horseshoe crab. Our focus isn't just about breweries and good beer. It's about preserving local treasures like the horseshoe crab and supporting initiatives like Operation Splash that cleans up all the harbors around Long Island on the South Shore. I'm here to talk about the exciting potential of the Sands Casino at the old Coliseum establishment. This isn't just about a development in my mind. It's a chapter for our community. With its $40 million market capitalization, it promises growth and visibility for all of us. However, it's crucial that this doesn't overshadow small businesses like myself and everyone else around here that has those. We're hopeful that the Sands will not only draw crowds, but also direct their attention to unique offerings like local businesses such as Jones Beach Brewing Company. The development could be a tide that lifts all the boats, especially in the last floods in Freeport, giving small businesses the visibility that often struggle. But aligning with big brands like the Sands, we showcase our unique offerings to a broader audience. It's about mutual growth, the presence amplifying visibility and vice versa. In closing, I draw selective inspiration from Robert Moses, who once turned bland marshlands into bustling highways, leading ways to places like Jones Beach. His vision transformed Long Island, and now the Sands, in the heart of Long Island, has the potential to create a greater flow further away, connecting a wider area and enriching the community around us. With that development, we could build a future where every venture, big or small, contributes to the vibrant tapestry of Long Island and our precious limulus horseshoe crabs. I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry for being late.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Next, I have on Brandon Watson. Brandon Watson? There you go. How you doing? If you get up there, you give your name and address, that'd be great. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Watson from Wantagh, New York. This is my first time publicly speaking, so bear with me. But as a union laborer and lifelong resident of Nassau County, I appreciate the opportunity to speak in support of Sands Integrated Resort. I take great pride in my work and my community, and I want to live here for the rest of my career. It's projects like these that allow construction workers to have careers, not a job, but a career. These will be family-sustaining jobs and allow me and my fellow brothers and sisters to thrive and stay on Long Island. It's an economic driver not only for surrounding communities that desperately needs good-paying jobs, but for the region. It would be an honor to build this beautiful resort for our local families to enjoy for years to come. As in environmental concerns and traffic in particular, this is already a developed piece of property. We are simply redeveloping an area that is underutilized, but let's be honest, it's a paved parking lot and an arena. There are no trees, and it's been using water and energy resources for 50 years. For the past 5 decades, we have accommodated 20,000 fans on any given night for Islanders games and concerts. It's not adding any new traffic to the community. This property is perfect for those reasons. Let's not stop the progress, good paying jobs, and positive tax revenue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Dan Lloyd. Dan Lloyd? Okay. How you doing? If you give your name and address to the record, thanks.
Blessings Supervisor and Blessings Deputy Supervisor Guzzi, you're a living legend, so it is an honor to speak. My name is Dan Lloyd, and address is 629 Broadway, Amityville, New York. I am the founder and president of an organization called Minority Millennials, and our mission is to help young people of color access jobs, build wealth, and become civically engaged. And so for me, both personally and professionally, this opportunity in this Sands Resort project is unique because not only as our generation, but generations before us and advocates and community leaders and young people specifically, there's a lot of people talking about young people in this room, have been fighting for the last decade to have a seat at the table, to have a voice at the table, to have a opportunity to dictate what their future of Long Island looks like. And for once, a billion-dollar company comes to our region and invites us to the table. We didn't have to fight for it because our generations before us fought for it, and they allowed us to come and share our ideas and thoughts. And it's not just sharing ideas or thoughts. We're going to talk about jobs that were at the table. And when we talk about jobs, it's not just pre-apprenticeships, but that's key because pre-apprenticeships are only capped at a certain amount of construction jobs that are available. We have been blessed to work with Opportunities Long Island. We are on the grassroots of these communities in Uniondale, Hempstead, Lakeview, Roosevelt. I can see the pain and the earnest in young people's eyes when you mention the idea of having a career in the construction and trades and unions. They want it. They want to have the opportunities. The training workshops are packed, but there's only a certain capacity. We need these type of billion-dollar developments to increase those opportunities and to get into apprenticeships. And a young lady mentioned earlier that our county is rich with wealth, maybe for her community, but there's a lot of pain in our communities, and we need these opportunities to ensure that we offset this for the future of our generations. Let's talk about supplier diversity and MWBEs. Historically, minority and women businesses have not had the opportunities to successfully build wealth in supplier diversity. Sands is not only preparing us, because this is going to be 2-3 years. Anybody that knows that they're pursuing a certification, it takes 2 years, 3 years, just to get it through Empire State Development in the state of New York. We are well prepared to take advantage of this in the next 5 years. That means for individuals like us, 16 to 36, young, black, and brown, by the time they're 21, they can take full advantage of their idea, their business, and monetize that business to make sure that they're doing business with an entity like Sands Resort. And that's a billion-dollar company that's inviting us to the table. So we would be outrageously naive not to take advantage of this opportunity because so many people have fought for this. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we also hold Sands Resorts accountable to keep the door open when this does happen. Lastly, I just want to talk about cultural exchange and the opportunity for a lifestyle that is fun. We are working hard. It's incredibly costly and expensive to live here.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. If you'd like to supplement it, feel free to include it either in written form or an email. We appreciate you coming down. Next, I have Jason Gleason. Jason Gleason? Oh, how you doing? How you doing? If you give your name and address to the record, thank you.
Good evening. Jason Gleason, Rockville Center, New York. Member of the Rockville Center Fire Department. I'm also a member of the Enterprise Association of Steam Fitters, Local 638 Trade Board. Despite any reasonable opposition to the downstate casino projects, licenses will be granted. The Islanders called this area home for many years. A massive project was proposed, and then this was denied. The reasons vary depending on who you talk to. But what got left behind is empty parking lots and a lot of closed businesses. The project presented has shown the potential to create thousands of good-paying upper-middle-class jobs that will create a new generation as well as sustain the last generation of people who can afford to buy homes in this area, in the area that they work, who can afford the taxes that come along with home ownership in this area. The process of approval includes mitigation of possible impacts to our environment, unlike the congestion pricing in New York City. There will be no amount of pearl clutching that will stop the downstate casino licenses from being issued. Does Nassau County want to be left behind again by a lighthouse-style project that never gets off the ground? The Islanders could still be next door. UBS Arena could be right over there. Nothing has been done with this area since the Lighthouse project got shot down. If we take another pass on a project like this, will it come around again? I don't think our community can afford to turn our nose up in another development like this again. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I have Jason Abelov. Good evening. If you give your name and address to the record, thank you.
Good evening, Jason Abelove, Oceanside, New York. I'm probably the only person in this room that had the privilege of losing an election to Mr. Clavin.
You're a nice guy. Don't say that.
So, one thing I definitely agreed on with Mr. Clavin is we all want this to be the greatest community it can be. So, what makes a great community? First and foremost, it's jobs. Good middle-class jobs. And I am overwhelmed by the number of union people that are here tonight fighting for these positions. It's really, it's incredible, and I thank you all for coming. Mr. Arasich, the first speaker, talked about how much money into the county, into the careers, 16 union jobs bring. We're talking about 8,500 union jobs. We've heard a lot of numbers, so really let that wash over you. That's 8,500 people eating in our restaurants, supporting our downtown, sending their kids to college, living in our community. It's a gift from God. It's manna from heaven. What else do we want for our community? We want world-class restaurants. We want the best of everything. We're from Long Island. We think we deserve it. We want the best restaurants. We want the best entertainment. We want the best spas. And you know what? We want the best casinos. And we have an opportunity to do that, to give us everything that we want in a community. I think the county should spend billions and billions of dollars to do that, to give us those jobs, to give us those opportunities. How much are we as taxpayers going to pay for all this tremendous opportunity? Zero. Instead of us paying, we're going to bring in billions of dollars. There's never been more of a no-brainer for economic opportunity, for leisure, for entertainment, and for the backbone of our economy, which are good, solid union jobs. Thank you, Mr. Clavin.
Thank you, Mr. Abelove. Nice to see you again. Next, I have June Pitcow. Hi, Ms. Pitcow. If you give, I'm sorry. I apologize. If you give your name and address to the record.
My name is June Pitcow, and I live in East Meadow, 1785 Bard Lane. And this is the first time I've ever attended a town hall, and I really thought I was just getting information. I don't have a prepared speech, and I'm listening to everyone, and I really have more bullet point questions than anything. I'm sort of on both sides. One of the things I keep hearing is union jobs, and I'm 100% for that. But not only am I union jobs, one of the things I want to know is everything that's being promised, what's going in writing in the contract? Will the contract that you have with Sands state a percentage of jobs that are going to minorities and women and non-union people? What level of jobs will they have? Will they be the lower level? Will they be management? Will they be upper management? You know, you can promise a lot of things, but unless it's in writing, like Judge Judy says, it doesn't exist. So I would want a contract for all the promises that Sands is making in writing, in the contract, with penalties, if they do not get it and if they do not abide by it. I also want to know what kind of tax abatements and credits are they getting for this kind of project. I'm also looking like, if this is a huge entertainment complex and it's going to be, you know, entertainment and this and that, why the casino first? Why don't they use their own money, build the hotel, build the entertainment, build the surrounding, do the infrastructure, then build the casino? I think if they wait and they do the casino, we will have less objection. I also happen to live in the neighborhood, and I will tell you, when you do your environmental, you can't do rush hour. You have to do 24/7, because there are times that I can't even leave my house to get to Roosevelt Field. I can't get on the Meadowbrook Parkway, and it's not just rush hour. So if you're going to do a valid environmental study, do 24/7 for the hours that that casino will be open. I have a few other points. As far as depending on the car, that's the only way for people to get there. We already know what what the greenhouse emissions are, the air pollution, the effect on the overall global environment. Why are you not looking at a place that has mass transit? How will you affect that? Why are we depending on the automobile, which has already been deemed a detriment to our lives, our environment? I'm worried about not just the intersections along Hempstead Turnpike. What about the cross traffic down all our side streets for people trying to get away from the traffic? You've got kids there. You've got schools. You've got Eisenhower Park. I think all of this has to be considered, and I don't think it's being considered. I think what's happening is you've got a lot of people here for the union jobs and who don't live in the neighborhood, and that's a problem. They don't live here. They don't live with what's going to happen when this thing is built. And I really think that we could build something.
Thank you very,
Use
very much for
housing
taking the
a job.
time, and we appreciate it. All right, next I have Marion Mangan. No, ma'am, there's your opportunity to be called, so if you'd like to be heard, this is your opportunity. So you don't want to speak? Okay. Marie Reimers? Ms. Reimers? Okay. Good evening. If you give your name and address to the record, thank you.
My name is Marie Reimers. My address is 1319 Pembroke Street, Uniondale, New York, 11553. I've been living there for 30 years, and my husband and I are the homeowners. And Mr. Cleveland, I did not receive the flyer that you sent out. That's number one. Number two, I've been calling your office for at least 20 times. Neither you nor the people that work for you ever get back to me. Please make a note of it, because I'm right here face to face with you. Next, all of you, the legislator, except Ms. Delia, you should be ashamed of yourself. With the addiction going on all over the country, especially Long Island, the young people that are dying with the opium crisis, if Sands came to you guys and said that they want to redevelop Nassau, fine. You didn't take into consideration that this is a veteran thing for the veteran that fought the wars. Number two, you guys didn't take into consideration for the opium addiction, and then you bringing now the gambling addiction. So once Sands come up, you guys could say yes for everything else except the casino. But this is the sign of the time we're living in. You guys, we elect you guys to represent us, but you don't care. You really don't care. Because if you care, except Ms. Delia, when a project like that comes, how you guys go to proceed with it? That I would like to each one of you to let me know. My number is on the record. Let me know how you guys do something like that to the young people. Why you guys are doing it? Because after your time is up, you pack up and go and leave the community as it is. And Mr. Cleveland, please get back to me, because I feel insulted the way your office treats me. That's not right. That's not right, and that's not fair, because I pay the taxes. I am an owner for the last 30 years. I pay the taxes. I pay your salary. With all due respect, you're doing the job, but if I call your office 20 times, why I don't get an answer back? Why? Because you big, you say, oh, what can you do about it? Is that it? Is that the answer? Is that the way the country is moving? That's not the way it should go. That's not the proper way. And then you guys have 6 schools around the Coliseum. You got Nassau, you got Hofstra, you got Kellenberg Memorial, you got the Uniondale High School, you got the elementary school, and you're going to put a casino there, and you're going to say, oh, what happened? They should control themselves. They're young. You guys are old people. You cannot control yourself.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reimers. We appreciate it. Next, I have Jessica Tay. Good evening. If you give your name and address to the record, thank you.
Jessica Tai, Garden City.
Okay.
So as a resident in nearby Garden City, I oppose the casino because of concerns of traffic, crime, distribution of taxes, and strain on local resources, among other things. There has not been a detailed traffic mitigation plan. Nassau County is already developed, and highways are congested. With 23,000 anticipated daily visitors, there will be significantly more cars on the street and more congestion. There is really no new unoccupied planes where you can redirect traffic. Where do they go? We don't have an empty spot anywhere, and they're already occupied and congested. And second, crime. I'm not worried about the crime inside the casino itself. There will be cameras and security everywhere. You win 2 rounds, someone will be there watching you. So they get themselves covered. I'm worried about surrounding communities. Money is being drained from locals from gambling. There are gambling losses, and crimes are associated with casinos. There has been no measures put in place to increase police presence and increase security in surrounding neighborhoods. The distribution of gambling taxes is a concern. 80% gambling taxes are going to Albany, not here. The tiny percentage of Hempstead town is not going to cover the social costs of the casino for the local communities. So the money is not coming here. 80% is going to Albany. Also, it puts a huge strain on local resources such as water supply, waste disposal, sewer system, police, and fire response. On Long Island, we have volunteer firefighters, and our town's fire station would be the one called into the casino, and that would leave the village at high risk. Therefore, as a member of a community in really close proximity to the proposed casino, I oppose the development.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Christine Bruno. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening. Christine Bruno, Glen Cove, New York. My name is Christine Bruno. I'm Vice President at Macaron Plumbing, located in Glen Cove here in Nassau County. Nassau Coliseum has been sitting vacant for some time. It has approximately 72 acres of parking spots, and now for the first time in a few years, we have an organization interested in planting roots here on Long Island and investing in our community. The difference with this proposal as opposed to others is that the Sands Group have the vision and the funding to back this development. I'm here today to speak in favor of the Sands development because we will likely never have an opportunity in our lifetime to see a project like this come to the Long Island community. It represents a historic opportunity for our region's economy and our small businesses. Not only is it an investment in Nassau County, but Long Island and the state of New York as a whole. This development will garner people from all over the country to experience all Sands has to offer, a 5-star hotel, the spa, convention center, and more. In addition to visitors, this property will also employ thousands and attract new families to the area as residents, all of which will seek services and goods outside the resort itself, offering companies like Macaron and others an opportunity for long-term partnerships and creating exterior relationships and commerce outside of the Sands itself. I'm also encouraged by the Sands' efforts to reach out to and involve our small business community on their procurement processes. There are millions to be awarded in local contracts on this project, both during the development and once it begins operating. This project will employ a significant amount of Long Island tradespeople and in turn support thousands of families here on the island. Local shops have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity not only to participate, but to profit and reach new heights through contracts in catering, security, entertainment, and much more. I'm pleased to hear that Sands has a commitment to source work from our local small businesses, and I look forward to working with them myself and making a long-lasting relationship, because you always need a plumber. This project also represents so much more for the local economy. It will create whole new industries and deepen our talent pool, which is desperately needed, as new businesses here have trouble hiring, and there will be massive new opportunities for our young people to stay here, grow families here, and have great high-paying careers. The increase in revenues in Nassau County, Long Island, and the state as a whole could not come at a better time for our economy. I encourage the Nassau County legislator to vote yes on the Sands and on the Sands lease so that our small businesses have the opportunity to thrive again, hire again, and pave the way for prosperity. And with my last 30 seconds, I just want to touch. As a person working in the trades have provided an amazing life for me and the people that work in my company, and we are a very large company here on Long Island. They are homeowners, they have a skill set, they're good community members. A lot of them are volunteer firefighters, and a lot of people these days cannot afford to live here on Long Island. And the unions and the trades help these people stay here, pay their taxes, and raise their families here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I have Danielle Porter. Hi, good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Porter. I live at 951 Uniondale Avenue, Uniondale 11553. You can't hear me? I'm sorry. I'm a little soft-spoken. Let me speak a little bit into the mic. I am so happy to see that the Sands is here. I've been a resident of Uniondale for 35 years. I live on Uniondale Avenue. I've seen the Long Islanders play here. They've been here for 4 decades, part of the time that I've been alive. Nobody complained about the traffic then. So why all of a sudden they want to have a complaint? This is bringing jobs to our community. I see a lot of people in our community that are jobless. I'm a millennial. There's people in my generation who need jobs, okay? And 2004, 2007, I remember Mr. Charles Wang with the Lighthouse Project and how it fell through. So now we're getting a second opportunity to make it right. I understand that people are concerned with gambling and alcoholism, and people are gonna do what people are gonna wanna do. You can't stop it. So at the end of the day, I'm in full support. The Sands has come to the community. They did the Christmas spectacular. I loved it. I said, what other company has done that for Nassau County? Not many. So I'm thankful and I'm happy that they're here. And with crime, I worked in corrections for 9 years with New York City. I've been around a lot of criminals. And if they're gonna wanna do it, they're gonna do it regardless. They're doing it now. Especially with the opioid crisis, that's on them, on their addiction. So, and even drunk driving, I had people from Suffolk County, and this is back in what, the mid-2000s? Coming back and forth with DWIs. So they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you very much. Next, I have Lynn Porter Bernadette. Hi, good evening. If you have your name and address for the record, thank you.
My name's Lynn Porter Bernadette. I live at 951 Uniondale Avenue, 11553. I've been a resident here, well, actually, I should say I've been a resident of Nassau County, town of Hempstead, since 1963. I remember when they built the Coliseum, we were also very proud. We had enjoyed it for many years. And lately, when I go by the Nassau County, it looks like a dark, dank, dead place. And this is my town. I live in Uniondale. Not to mention, the people that we see when we're coming into our town, jobless, is very sad. I would like to see for people to have the working opportunity. And I think that if, like my daughter said, because she just spoke, that if people are gonna gamble, they're gonna do it anyway. And if they're going to kill people, mass shooting, it's happening anyway. We can't stop it. So why are we gonna try to stop opportunity that'll help the neighborhood? And all the people that got up and spoke before who are not from Uniondale, listen, you don't have to come around here if you don't like it. Stay in your part of town, okay? If it bothers you, annoys you, don't come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I actually thought it was your sister, so I don't understand that. Next, I'm calling up Susan Cage. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you very
I'm
much.
Susan Kay from Franklin Square. I'm against the casino. Nobody is talking about MSK. Do you think they want a casino on the ground? No. How about all the senior citizens that are losing all their money due to gambling addiction? How about the lies at the UBS Arena that they were supposed to build a community center? It's been open for 2 years. No community center. This past weekend, there was a rally. How about in New York State, there are only 3 gaming licenses for the casino, and 8 are bidding. Casinos do not make jobs. I work at the UBS Arena. We got a crappy 75-cent raise. They chopped the hours down from 20 hours a week to 15 hours, and all we get the manager say, get off the clock, get off the clock, get off the clock. Is this creating jobs? No. Another question, how many people is this casino gonna hire over 60? 0. I'm somebody in the next 2 to 3 years, like many of my other friends, have gone upstate for housing because the housing market is terrible. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming. Next, I'm going to call on Raymond Meyer III. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening. Raymond Meyer III from 85 Amherst Street, Garden City, New York. My first job was an ocean lifeguard for the town of Hempstead in the late 90s. Kate Murray was supervisor and Don Clavin was a young receiver of taxes. I was proud to serve the public. I took that responsibility seriously. We have a hurricane approaching, and we're just feeling the first gust of a storm that has the capacity to destroy Nassau County. Supervisors and council members, you have the ability and the responsibility to turn this hurricane back out to sea. The Sands project is simply the Capri Motor Inn on steroids. I'm really disappointed that there's seemingly no promotion of this event on the Town of Hempstead socials. There is info available on the website, but I expect more about this hearing, or at least as much as Mulch Fest. Is the DEIS being conducted by an independent third party? From what I've heard tonight, I don't think so. Lastly, and most importantly, I make these comments on my own and have zero financial interest driving these comments. I'm here for my neighbors, Monica Kiley, Richard Catalano. I'm here for my daughter, Abby, who in 2 to 3 years will get her driver's license and will be driving herself to Hofstra 6 days a week to go to swim practice. We can build something else that doesn't have a massive negative impact and dangerous second-order effects on Nassau County. It's been a long time. This administration bears some responsibility for being in this situation where you have residents arguing with each other for or against and not working together to better ourselves together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Meyer. Next, I have Eugene Goldsmith. You're not gonna jog, dude. How you doing, Mr. Goldsmith? If you give your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Eugene Goldsmith. I live at 1050 Adrian Drive, North Belmore, New York, maybe 4 miles from here. All right, I was born here. I've been here for 70 years, and I went to Nassau Community College. I graduated from there. It would be great to have hospitality interns from them here. I think it all makes sense, and that's what I feel. Nassau, the Coliseum has been nothing for years, and it's time to get a nice convention center in here for business, and to me, it makes sense. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now you got to run back to your seat. No, I'm teasing you. Listen, Robert Picariello. Mr. Picariello. Okay. Alex Arso. Hi, how you doing? If you give your name and address to the record, thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex Arso. I live in Northport and I work in Melville. Here tonight on behalf of the Long Island Association, also known as the LIA. We're the region's leading nonprofit and nonpartisan business organization representing the interests of Long Island businesses and advocating for economic development of our region. The LIA strongly supports the Sands New York proposal for the Nassau Hub. This project has the potential to be a significant economic driver for Long Island by expanding regional tax base, creating thousands of jobs, providing supply chain opportunities for small businesses as well. The Long Island Association wants to acknowledge the extensive scope of this assessment presented by Sands New York and to ensure the well-being of the community and regional economic sustainability. We commend both the town of Hempstead and Sands for their commitment to executing a thorough and extensive analysis. Their dedication to ensuring every aspect of this development is evaluated for environmental, social, and economic impact while encouraging public input should be a model for other projects to follow. In addition to its economic impact, the Sands New York project will serve as a hub for cultural enrichment and community engagement. The inclusion of a world-class live performance venue, restaurants, and various entertainment options will not only honor the long legacy of live music at Nassau Coliseum, but also create a vibrant, inclusive space for Long Islanders. Furthermore, their commitment to working with the local community and developing this project has been a significant and diligent effort to ensure that it aligns with regional needs and aspirations, while also respecting and enhancing the quality of life for its residents. We at the LIA recognize the transformative potential of Sands New York project. It stands as a catalyst of economic revitalization, promising to boost the local economy, create numerous job opportunities, and enhance the region's attractiveness to both tourists and residents. This project will breathe new life into the Nassau Coliseum and its surrounding areas, transforming a sea of asphalt that's been underutilized for decades and unlocking the economic potential that's been promised to us over and over again but never achieved. The Long Island Association commends the comprehensive approach taken by the town of Islip and Sands, New York. We should thoroughly investigate any economic development project of this scale. But if an international company is working in good faith to become a true member of our community and can demonstrate its vision is consistent with state and local regulatory standards, we should welcome them into our region as they invest billions of dollars into Long Island and enthusiastically seek to be good stewards of the holy grail site that is the Nassau Hub. We are confident that this project, with its complete and extensive analysis, will significantly enhance our region's economic sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arsa. Next, I have William Cassidy. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
William Cassidy, 153 Oak Street, Medford, New York. Supervisor Clavin, everyone else up there on the dais, thank you for having us, for lack of a better term. I represent the stagehands and motion picture studio mechanics of the IATSC. We're the union behind entertainment, as we like to call ourselves. So the first thing I'd like to talk about are the theaters that are going in and the convention center. I would say to you that live entertainment, any kind of entertainment, including the exposition in an exposition hall, a conference center, draws people in. People come in for that stuff, and they spend money. I'm going to talk about this later, but it's private sector, the whole thing. And not to mention the culture that the theaters bring to a community. There's really nothing like it on Long Island. We have a few smaller theaters and colleges, but nothing comes close to what the Sands is proposing. Now, in addition to that, people have spoken of better, safer projects to fill the wasteland surrounding the existing Coliseum. Where are these alternative projects? Do you want to leave it as is? May I remind everyone that this project is the epitome of capitalism. The project is an on-the-books, on-the-tax rolls entity. It's done with private investment. No government entity has to pour money into this. They've got their own money. Look them up on the stock exchange. They will build this on their own. What they're asking, I don't mean to speak for them this way, is the approval of the government entities. And one other thing about the gambling part, the gambling casino, if you want to call it that, the gambling center, is 10% of this, of the whole project. This is a resort with a hotel, restaurants galore, and benefits to anyone who goes in the property. I didn't expect to be speaking tonight, so I'm a little bit short on words. Just one other thing. In the times of AI, and we all know what that means, but we don't know what it's going to mean to us. This is a brick and mortar entity, brick and mortar, with live people who are going to have to do the work. You won't be able to get rid of that. They're jobs, and they're going to be here for a while, maybe forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Next, I have Linsdale McKenzie. Linsdale McKenzie. Okay. Helen Matedinis. Helen, is that you over there? I thought so. Yeah. Okay, yes. Good evening. If you have your name and address for the record, thank you.
This is a tall people microphone. Helen Martinez, Mist Lane, Salisbury across the park. As a community leader, I was talking to a lot of people and asking their opinions on the casino, and my neighborhood loves the idea, so I'm just bringing it here. I think it's great. If you like it, fine. If you don't have to come, So anyway, let me cut to the chase. A lot of Nassau and Suffolk County residents go to casinos, and they travel far and wide. They spend all kinds of money at all these casinos all over the place. It's about time that Long Islanders stay here and go to our casino and keep your money here and let everybody else come here and spend their money. And that's not the way I wanted to say it, but I'm trying to make it fast anyway. And then, of course, speaking of jobs, I just love hearing that the labor unions will be very busy for a long time to come. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Mary Timmons. Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening, Mary Timmons, 6 Linden Street, Garden City, New York. How is everybody? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having this. I start by saying the reason I decided to come tonight, it was not something I planned to do. I went to an environmental advisory meeting in Garden City, and I didn't go to it. I watched it on the Zoom platform, and I listened for about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes to, I guess they were about 16 to 20-year-olds speaking about how they want to work and help the environment. And I feel that this casino is going the total opposite of what the future residents that will be taking over my home and my place are going to want to do. They want to, in summary, they want to be able to live in the world. They're working so hard to protect the environment. And here we're planning to flush, I don't know, how many flushes a day will be going from the casino into our beautiful oceans? How many a day? How many a week? How many a year? So you have these people that are at this environmental advisory board meeting talking about the water bottle, the plastics. They're talking about the emissions for the traffic and how it's destroying their world. We're here as full-grown adults, and we're working against the young people for what they're going to live in. Most of the people that are in this room tonight will not be on Long Island in 5 to 10 years. They'll be retired somewhere. We're making decisions for the people who are up and coming moving here. As far as a destination, we are a destination. We're a nature destination. Beaches, vineyards, vegetables. I mean, you can hiking, etc., biking. We are a destination already. We're a very healthy destination. We're just blowing that apart by throwing a casino into the middle of it. To get around here, you can go down Old Country Road and try to go just down past the mall, and it could take you 5 minutes on a Sunday morning or 25 minutes at 5 p.m. during the week. You want to make that an hour? It'll turn into an hour. So we have to be very careful. And as far as the jobs, I don't know who we're kidding. If we have read the newspaper and listened to the news for the past week, the largest technology convention was in Las Vegas, and they announced it was all about AI. In fact, Samsung has announced the 24, which is AI ready, the phone. We have the baristas that don't need people to do it. It's more accurate. We have the bartenders. We have chefs. The whole thing about chefs, everything is more accurate. They've proved that. We're falsely fooling ourselves that there's going to be more jobs here.
Thank you, Ms. Timmons. Like I said, if anybody wants to supplement it over the 3 minutes, they can always submit an email. Ladies and gentlemen, by my account, it is now 8:19. We've had this meeting going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm going to offer to take a 10-minute, 11-minute break, to be honest with you, and reconvene at 11:30 so everybody can stretch their legs, get a glass of water. 8:30. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. No wonder my Apple Watch told me I need to stand up. We're going to reconvene at 8:30. That's in about 11 minutes. Thank you all. Okay, if everybody will find their seat, we're going to start the program momentarily. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue with our meeting. Again, I'll remind residents, 3 minutes, and if you need to supplement after, you can either give us in writing or emails, and it will be made part of the record. With that, I'd like to continue with the meeting by calling up Sylvia Bisalata. Good evening, if you have your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Sylvia Basilata, 198 Morris Drive, East Meadow, New York. I'm not prepared. Let me look at my hair here. It's just looking right. So I'm actually here more to ask about questions. First of all, thank you very much for holding this. We truly appreciate it. I like hearing both sides of the argument here. My concern is mostly about
Folks, let's all quite thank you for everybody their opportunity. Go on.
My concern is that I've read a couple of different articles about foot traffic and walkability. And there was one article in particular that I read about that of all the hubs that they were looking at, that Nassau County hub, the Nassau Coliseum hub was the least walkable. And I'm wondering, why did they pick this site over, let's say, Citi Field, UBS, and then, well, these are the sites that they were comparing. They were looking at walkability for UBS. They were looking at walkability for Citi Field, the Garden, obviously, Jake's 58, and the article touched upon that this was the least walkable. Now, on top of that, many people brought up the fact that the driving situation here is rather treacherous, really difficult. If anybody's ridden on Meadowbrook at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night trying to get home like myself, you brace yourself thinking, okay, is it going to be 25 minutes today to get to M5, or is it going to take 45 minutes? Do I take the side road and go along Long Country Road? Can you imagine if the casino is here and we haven't done anything to build that infrastructure, to take on that additional wear and tear on the roads, the anguish that people have in trying to get home? That's a real concern for commuters like myself. And for everybody, I think, actually. The other concern is, okay, so maybe if everybody doesn't have to drive, the closest train station is over 2 miles away. That's another concern. So how are you getting people here, other than commuter buses that'll be bringing people in? I'm just trying to figure out, how do you do it so that you don't impact the current traffic situation that we have now? I haven't seen anything like that. The other thing I wanted to ask, or if the Sands could do, if you go to their website and you look to see anything about the New York proposal, there really isn't much out there other than the fact that what they're proposing, what their revenues are going to be, what they're going to do. Well, I'd like them to be able to bring something along for that.
Obviously, at the time, I know you have some other questions. You can supplement, like I said. It's going to be part of the record. Any of those will be included in any of the evaluation. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming out this evening. Next, I have Ray. Yeah. Ray, you're going to make it easy for you if you give your name and address. I feel like you're going to be familiar.
Yeah, it's the same as the previous speaker.
Oh, you're still going to give it to me?
East Meadow, New York.
Okay.
Right down the block. Mr. Clavin and company up at the board there, I do appreciate being able to speak in front of you and the people that are here. After listening to everybody else that has spoken, I mean, on each side, everybody had what they thought was good, what they thought was bad. and I'm looking at the posters that are here, the say no to the casino and then say yes to Sands. I think the majority of the people here that are against the casino would not have anything to say about Sands if they were refurbishing this area, because everybody knows when you drive by, this is an eyesore. We let the Islanders get away. Why isn't Sands thinking of refurbishing the Coliseum here, building some type of hotel area with restaurants and everything? I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. I think the main concern is the casino. They're worried about the crime, they're worried about the traffic, they're worried about the pollution, they're worried about a lot of things that I don't think that they really want the casino here. But if Sands could understand that and refurbish this area, I think people would definitely say, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to come out. Next, I have Marie Fadaruso. Marie Fadaruso? Okay. Next I have Ray Goiger from Farmingdale. Ray Goiger? Okay. Daphne Baptiste? Daphne? Okay. Patrick Bonziglia? Patrick Bonziglia? Next I have Scott Brand. Scott Brand? Okay. Adam Charles? Okay. We've been good all night long. Adam can get up here by himself, so let's, come on, guys. Good evening, Mr. Charles. If you've given name and address for the record, thank you. Shh, folks, let's be. Yes, Mr. Charles.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Good evening. My name's Adam Charles. I reside in Bayshore, New York. I'm a resident of Long Island, 44 years. I believe this building project of the Sands will be very great for our infrastructure, great for the people. 8,500 jobs supported for our families for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. You know, my local 66 union brothers, you know, in all allied trades all together. We need this. You know what I'm saying? You understand?
Okay.
I think this will be great for all of us. Build our community, build up the stores. As he said before, that's an eyesore out there. Let's build up the community, bring it back, bring the jobs, bring the wealth, bring the people here. Everybody that's speaking against it, I'm sure everybody's been in Atlantic City. You know? Why not go up the block? You don't have to go that far anymore. Bring the money home. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I appreciate
Mr.
the
Charles.
opportunity to talk, and thank you, Sands, and I can't wait to build it.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Next, I have Amy Oftring. Amy Oftring? Okay. Next, I have Daniel. Okay. Daniel, if you come up and give your name and address, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dan Oftring, East Meadow, New York. Thank you for letting me speak. I know a lot of people that were here are against the casino, a lot are for it, but it's not just a casino based on the plans that you guys have posted on the Town of Hempstead website. It's an entertainment venue, it's shopping, it's a spa, and a casino with the hotel. Well, that brings me to one of my points. What else would you like to build instead of this? We've got Roosevelt Field, we've got Broadway Mall, we've got the Source Mall that's pretty defunct, the Westbury Commons, which are just clogging up Old Country Road, and getting down Meadowbrook Parkway from November through the end of December usually kind of stinks. It's jammed up. Some of the questions that I have for the Sands and the casino side and the town are you looking at possibly doing an offshoot of the train station so that it could actually feed straight to the Coliseum. The Coliseum has been there for, God, since 1967, I think. And then when they left, it was refurbished on the town's dime for $180 million. But now this is going to be built by the Sands and not costing us anything. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer to go ahead and build this. When people are talking about the crime, the drunk driving, all that stuff, I've been to countless concerts, wrestling shows, sporting events over at the Coliseum, and most people end up drinking a whole lot of beer, a whole lot of alcohol, and then getting behind the wheel. That's not going to change. So whether or not you put a sporting event arena there, or if you go ahead and build a casino, it's still going to be the same thing. The other thing is, what would actually go there if we didn't get this license? Because I can tell you there's probably going to be a push to go ahead and make that a migrant housing. So you want to bring crime, you want to bring low income. Yeah, that was pushed back. Kathy Hochul wanted to go ahead and put migrant housing there. Blakeman pushed back and said no. But if we don't get anything done and put something there, I could see a big push from the government to go ahead and put that there. I see my time's running out. You're doing awesome on the sign language. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming out. Next, I have Russ Cameo. Good evening. If you can name and address of the record, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name's Russ Como. I live in Rockaway. But I'm president of the South Shore Audubon Society in Freeport. I represent 1,400 member households, Audubon members in Central and South Nassau County. I didn't come here tonight to talk about jobs or to talk about gambling, although those are very important concerns, and I do have my opinions. I will add that my father, during his working years, was a staunch IBEW Local 3 shop man, okay? I came here tonight to tell you that I'm afraid that the nature preserves bordering the Nassau hub will be endangered by this large-scale development. I brought some written comments I would like to submit at the end of my time and have them entered into the record. The written comments urge the development group and the county to take very careful consideration be made of this project's potential environmental impacts on the Hempstead Plains Preserve, which rounds up to 20 acres, and Francis T. Purcell Preserve, which rounds up to about 30 acres. Both these preserves border the proposed Nassau hub. They're both ecologically significant and even globally rare. And they hold in grasslands like these, the last remnants of the Hempstead Plains. They potentially hold up to 30 endangered, threatened, special concern or rare species, whether plants or animals or insects, okay? So these are protected by New York State because they are so rare. If the Nassau hub proposal is developed without consideration of these critical environmental issues, then it can have a huge and irreversible and irreparable impact on the last bastions of the Hempstead Plains that these preserves represent. The Hempstead Plains are part of Nassau County's history.
Mr. Cuomo, you did say you'd do an additional submission, and we'll make it part of the record on those concerns. Mary Ellen Cray? Good evening, Ms. Cray. If you give your name and address to the record.
Mary Ellen Cray, Uniondale resident for 57 years. Good evening. Sands has already made a significant impact in the Uniondale area. I have been impressed by the efforts to work with our community to discuss issues and build solutions into the plans for the development of the hub area. If this is approved, I feel it is important, absolutely essential, to codify the environmental plans into the approval legislation or contracts. There are climate mitigation plans which must be ironclad. I am also concerned about our vulnerable populations to the siren songs of gaming. And I do not really want to see a casino in the area. However, I feel that, as previously mentioned, it could be a wonderful development without the casino. In addition, too often we have seen other development plans adjusted after building begins. So to some, I feel will be can't read my own writing, sorry.
Okay.
I feel Sands will be a strong development partner so long as our town board focuses its legislation and contracts to bind Sands to its promises. So I urge you to do your homework and ensure Sands lives up to its development promises. Just remember, this board approved the warehouse travesty on Mitchell Field, Uniondale property near the Children's Museum, which I call the Bastille. How can we count on you to preserve our community? It's really important that you look at all aspects. In short, I support Sands development, but not the casino. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cray. Always nice to see you. Lisa Holtz? Hi, good evening. Give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lisa Holtz. I live at 267 Whittier Avenue, as well as 91 Tulip Avenue, Floral Park, New York. When I first heard of the idea of the casino at the hub, I immediately thought of the development, which actually took place in my backyard, UBS Arena in Elmont. And my neighbors and I had the same reaction as many of people in this room. We were afraid of the outsiders that would come into our neighborhood. Floral Park, small, close-knit. People would park on our residential streets. They would litter, create an environment of disaster. So we organized very similarly, and we protested and we lost. As you know, UBS is now in our backyard. Then it opened and the residents were right. The traffic down Tulip Avenue was a nightmare, like a big concern. People were parking on our streets. Game days were everything we thought and worse. Traffic studies were done. Game days were monitored and the routes then changed. They changed parking on our street and opened up enough spots in the arena. After a few months, myself and my fellow residents and neighbors were wrong. The county task force of Bruce Blakeman and his office showed leadership and mitigated all of our problems. Now you can't even tell if it's a game day or not, unless you're an Islander fan, which I'm not. I'm a Ranger fan. I'm right about my team, but I was wrong about the UBS project. and its long-term impact. Yes, I was surprised. So you don't have to always listen to the loudest voices in the room. They may be wrong. Listen to the people who have gone through it. UBS is now a symbol of our region's sports success and has successfully brought the Islanders back close to their home. Long Island is a symbol of our region's status as entertainment and performance venue, not just for New York, but for the country to see. I respectfully ask you to vote yes for the Las Vegas Sands to keep Long Island moving forward. And I do truly think that Long Island has hit the jackpot with this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Sol Marie Alfonso Jones. Hi, how you doing? If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sol Marie Alfonso Jones, and I live at 46 Ridge Drive, Westbury, New York. I want to thank you for allowing us to speak, and I know it's been a long night. We appreciate your listening to our concerns. I'm a program director at the Long Island Community Foundation. We are the largest philanthropic organization here on Long Island. We're a grant-making institution that has awarded more than $260 million since 1978 to mostly Long Island-based, Nassau and Suffolk County-based nonprofit organizations. Our mission is to help advance solutions to problems that impact quality of life for Long Islanders. We do this by working really closely with the nonprofit sector in our region to understand the issues, to understand what our residents are living through, and then to help support these nonprofit organizations. The Long Island Community Foundation is also made up of a staff and a board that are Long Islanders. We live, work, recreate here, and we join our neighbors during times of crisis together. And I want to just say that as we, the Community Foundation, was thinking about this project, we really leaned on our nonprofit partners in order to understand what the potential issues could be with the project, et cetera. And, you know, after a lot of conversations with them, it was very clear that that SANS and the leadership, the team has really done a great job, as you've heard over and over again, understanding our region and being really good partners. They don't just go to the meetings, they're listening, and they're trying to integrate in a very real way long-term solutions to these issues. They're working with the Community Foundation to open a fund, which they have opened, the Sands Care Community Benefits Fund. That fund will be a source of grant making that will be advised by community members. And that will ensure that many of the issues that we're hearing about are being addressed, are being watched. There is some type of guidance that's happening. It's not going to be just the Community Foundation. It's also going to be community members that comprise an advisory group. This, to me, shows a long-term commitment by this group because they're not going to be the Long Island Community Foundation won't allow for one entity to open up a fund and use it for their own priorities. It's really about the community, and so we're excited to support it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Alan Belisco, I know you live on Syracuse Avenue. Alan, on Syracuse Avenue? Then I said your name right. Next I have Mimi Hafner. Mimi Hafner? Okay. Allison Metzler? Allison Metzler? Okay. Scott Livingston? Hi, good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Scott Livingston, Sands Point, New York. I'm in the business of financing technologies and startups and university-led spin-outs and so on, and I work with regions all around the country. First of all, I want to thank everybody for staying here for such a long time, and I appreciated the Sands presentation. I do want to point out that the next time they make a presentation like this, they should make sure that the developments, pictures that they put up there are not all of China, a communist country that relies on slave labor to develop their casinos. And I'd like to see how Sands actually improves the lives of Americans, not Chinese. The other thing that I'm going to point out is I am an emphatic no against this casino. I believe that this is the biggest missed opportunity. I think we all agree that this is a great opportunity to revitalize and redevelop Long Island, but it's the biggest missed opportunity in our history, and I think that generations and generations in front of us are going to pay for our short-sightedness. It's kind of like putting a Walmart in. We're all so happy that we have a Walmart, but we gut all of our local stores, and then everybody ends up with low-paying jobs at Walmart. I will say that in Albany, New York, they've created a semiconductor center of excellence that now has billions of dollars in investment, tens of thousands of jobs, and now it's gone on to Saratoga, it's gone on to Malta. Pittsburgh has reinvented itself through robotics and stem cells, improving automated vehicles. Cleveland, North Carolina, South Carolina, all over the country, and we get a casino. It's kind of like Biff from Back to the Future, right? Like we get, a couple of people are going to get real rich and the rest of us are going to have low-paying jobs. Have you ever gone to Las Vegas and watched the people dealing the cards? They're miserable. Have you ever talked to the people who are serving us drinks? Are those high-paying jobs? Are those careers? No, they're ungats, they're bupkis, they're nothing. We're not creating high-paying jobs. We're not creating a long-term future. We spend so much money on education. We have the best high schools in the country. We send hundreds and thousands of kids to the best universities in the country, and they don't come back. Why? Because there's no industries of the future here. There's nothing. You think that we're going to get all of our kids to come back and make Long Island great because we have a casino? We already have the best food. We already have the best restaurants. We already have hotels. We already have all this stuff. What we don't have is anything that's important. And I'll leave you with this. Long Island used to make things that mattered. We don't do anything that matters anymore. We need to reinvest in the industries of tomorrow, in the manufacturing jobs of tomorrow, not a casino. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I have Tanya Carmichael. Tanya Carmichael? Okay. I have Angela Padone. Oh, is that Tanya? Okay. Tanya, if you come onto the mic and give your name and address. Thank you. No, Tanya goes first. You're first. Oh, okay. All right. All right. So Angela Padone. How you doing? If you give your name and address for the record.
Angela Padone, Garden City South and Manhattan, New York. I'm being very extemporaneous here. I didn't plan anything. I have maybe some suggestions more than an opinion about yay or nay. I think that there should be some sort of codified commitment from the assessor's department that taxes don't rise for commercial real estate or residential real estate to subsidize any kind of tax abatements for development. And I think that going forward, it's been my experience as a landlord in Manhattan, New York, and Newark, New Jersey, and residential here on Long Island, but more specifically in my urban properties, that a bid, which is a business improvement district or a special improvement district, be set up permanently if this project comes to pass, and that is basically funded by property owners, and in this case it would be the Sands, even though they're just tenants, with an assessment fee, and that stakeholders are placed, a variety of stakeholders that represent concerned communities, people, however you want to, develop this board, and that these funds are allocated for whatever may arise that the constituents and the stakeholders feel is inappropriate. And it's an entity, it's quasi-governmental, because the government collects the funds as the assessment, and then it's managed by the board. And I think that could be something that would be useful going forward if the project happens, so that there's an ongoing presence of stakeholder opinion, and people would feel like, well, it's just not going to be developed and nobody has an opinion anymore. And the other thing I would suggest is whatever gross income comes to the town of Hempstead and the county, that go in a special bucket, and that bucket be very transparent, and maybe the funds in that bucket be also brought to the Business Improvement District Board to see how those are dispersed fairly amongst the communities that are involved or nearby. And it would be nice if they had a dog park too. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Carmichael? Okay. Ann Griffin? Yeah, good evening. If you give your name and address to the record.
Ann Griffin, 166 Garden Street, Garden City. I'm here as an educator of 30 years and most importantly as a mother of teenagers thinking about the future and the world we're in. I returned to Long Island after growing up here because it's a great place, not just Garden City, but Nassau County and the whole island. I agree that job opportunities for people in our Long Island communities are essential. We need to look out for each other. I agree that the development of the hub is long overdue. What I disagree with is that the casino is the solution. There are other development opportunities, lots. Those opportunities would help with jobs, would help with our communities, would help people rise. I don't want us to be another Atlantic City. And it's the truth. Atlantic City, they thought that that would help the area. The cost of having a casino is huge. Gambling issues are a national problem. We have 3 colleges close by. Brain development for young people, especially young males. 24 is when their brain is fully developed. So judgment isn't great for these young people who are going to have something that is could really wreak havoc in their lives. Okay? The environmental concerns, the traffic. I like cities. I'm even okay with this becoming more urban, but it's going to be tough. My understanding is that if 0.1% of the average number of people that are usually at the casino drink too much and get in a car, that we would have between 100 and 200 people at all times driving under the influence. We know what that leads to. Increased crime, and several people got up here tonight and said people are going to, no matter what, people are going to drink too much and drive. No matter what, people are going to gamble. Well, you know what? That's sad. We have an opportunity to make the people in charge have an opportunity to make a difference. And rather than just saying, oh, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, certain circumstances are going to increase the likelihood of there being serious problems. With all due respect to the people who view Sands as supportive allies, Sands is a business. It is what it is. They're looking to make money. They're not our friends. They need our help. They need our support. And I think that has to be taken into consideration. They're not our friend. They're business. They're looking to make money, and it will come at our expense.
Thank you. Ms. Griffin. Samantha Arnato? Samantha Amato. Okay. Jeremy Joseph? Hi, Mr. Joseph. You give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, Jeremy Joseph, Hicksville. So let's state the most pressing issue first. The town of Hempstead is conducting an environmental review for a project that is already stalled at the county level. So what else can we waste taxpayer money on? Let's have a study for a shopping mall, maybe a theme park, or perhaps another Amazon fulfillment center, since we love to build those on Long Island. People think that Long Island is anti-development, but that's not true. Many of you on that stage have toured the county with the call to save our suburbs. Yet you're hell-bent on supporting nearly every development except what our suburbs need, and that's more housing. Over the last decade, no area has created fewer new housing units than Long Island in the Northeast region. We have a housing shortage. And when there's a shortage of housing, existing housing becomes more expensive. Over 50% of New Yorkers cannot afford their monthly housing cost. People are moving away from Long Island en masse because they cannot afford to live here. This is by far the #1 problem on Long Island, and we here have public control of one of the largest properties in central Nassau County, one that is clearly in need of development, one that is in the middle of an already suburban environment. So guess what I'm going to suggest for this property? And it's not another private developer building luxury apartments. That's not helping anyone. Statewide, there is a growing movement to address this housing crisis, and a solution that's gaining popularity is social housing. Social housing in the form of limited equity cooperatives or permanently affordable rentals would be the perfect use of this publicly controlled property. Imagine affordable housing for the middle class. Imagine a rent that is set to be no more than 25% of your income. You want to talk about union labor? Las Vegas Sands has promised only a year and a half of union labor for the construction phase. Then what? The operations workforce has no such assurances. We can do better. There is social housing legislation right now for the state that would ensure that these housing developments would use only union labor. That's a lot of good work for a long time. I'd much rather our friends in labor take pride in housing our community and their own families instead of building a casino that would exploit them. And that's the saddest part of all this. This property represents an incredible opportunity to help Hempstead. Instead, we're seeing our politicians take some of our poorest communities and setting them up to be cheap labor for a billion-dollar corporation. If that weren't bad enough, the majority of casino revenue has been shown to come from residents in surrounding areas. This is the revenue you're excited about? Identifying low-income residents and milking them for their last dollars. I'm excited that next time we do an environmental review, it's going to be for housing.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. Candace, it might be Candace Hoey. How you doing? If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Okay, this is a little tall. Good evening, everyone. My name is Candace Holly. I'm also submitting 155 petitions when I'm finished. The reason I'm supporting Sands New York is a project that I believe will bring significant benefits to our community. Sands New York is expected to create thousands of new jobs, both during construction and once the project is complete. These jobs will boom to our economy, providing much-needed employment for people of all skills levels. I'm particularly excited about the potential of Sands New York to create new opportunities for people who are interested in pursuing a career in culinary trades. Not everyone wants to go to college, and the culinary arts offers a great path to a rewarding career. Sands New York is committed to working with local culinary schools and training programs to ensure that our community has the pipeline of talented chefs and restaurateurs. I'm also impressed with Sands New York's commitment to environmental sustainability. The project is being designed with focus and energy efficiency and energy resources. And waste reduction, Sands is also working closely with the community to address any concerns about the project's potential environmental impact. I believe that Sands New York is a win-win for our community. It will create jobs, boost our economy, and provide new opportunities for our residents. I urge everyone to learn more about the project and get involved in the planning process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Holly. Next, I have Jerome Bast. Jerome passed? Okay. Next I have Tom Loftus.
I'm right
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry, sure, how you doing? Hey, how are you? Give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Sure, Jerome 100 Corporate Drive. Mr. Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, members of the town board, I want to thank you for this opportunity to actually speak here. My name is Jerome Boss. I'm here on behalf of 4,500 members of IBW Local 1049. We represent the interests of labor. We are excited about the Sands Casino in Nassau. The project not only represents development for the community, but also brings tremendous opportunities for the local workforce. The presence of one of our 64 SUNY academic institutions across the street from the project presents a unique opportunity for collaboration with the workforce development with SANS. Representing over 4,000 members in the electric and gas industry, we are aware of the potential career opportunities that SANS will serve as a pathway to promising careers in labor, leveraging collaborations with Nassau Community College, Long Island Federation of Labor, groups such as Minority Millennials, training, development of other future union members. The SANS project is expected to create thousands of union jobs during construction, with the potential for 1,000 more long-term career opportunities greatly benefiting Nassau County and broader Long Island region. SANS has demonstrated its commitment to the workforce by entering into project labor agreements, ensuring job security, strong benefits, and fair wages for workers. We are confident in SANS' commitment to protecting its workforce, aligning with the values we uphold at IBW Local 1049. Our union, having recently negotiated for over 1,500 members, understands the importance of union security, collective bargaining, fair salaries, and we recognize and appreciate the commitment of SANS to these principles. On behalf of our business manager, Pat Cadiz of IBW 1049, we stand with SANS in this development, and I want to thank you for your time. We urge strong consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome. Next I have Tom Loftus. Tom Loftus. Okay. Rosetta Whaley. Rosetta Whaley. Okay. Meta Meride. Good evening. If you give me name and address for the record.
Meta J. Meride, third generation resident of the town of Hempstead in Nassau County. Just for the record, say no to the casino. I've been sitting here at least a good hour or so, and I've yet to hear the full name of the facility and the plot. It's the Nassau County Veterans Memorial Coliseum. I don't care about name changes, but that's what it is. And what it isn't, it doesn't seem to me to be the location and the support system for the thousands of veterans, making Long Island one of the largest veteran populations in New York State, and actually Northeast Corridor. For those who spoke earlier about the lack of jobs and lack of opportunities, I would just hazard to guess, I love that this room was packed, but when the town of Hempstead approved its $500 million budget, there were maybe 6 people in the room and 3 people spoke. Where was the signs up for the opportunities? Where was the hue and cry for the jobs? Nassau County passed a $4.1 billion budget. I drafted the legislation for Nassau County for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses to have the contract opportunities. I've spoken many times at Nassau County, and I've yet to get a document that speaks to the number of actual jobs for veterans, for women, for minorities, for people with disabilities. I've seen 0. But we stand here and we're applauding that the SANS wants to come. Well, yeah, they have an interesting track record. As someone said earlier, they're a major corporation, multinational corporation. It's their function and their focus to make money and to make other people seem like they're supporting them. That's what they do. But we have a county with a $4.1 billion budget, with the lowest percentage of seeking state and federal funds of any county in New York State to provide programs and services. The county executive was just basically given $10 million to promote Nassau County's 125th anniversary, but spoon-feed programs that are addressing our veteran homelessness, child care inadequacies, and things of that nature. Let's talk about safety, and for those who said, well, they're going to drink anyway, they're going to gamble anyway. Why magnify the problem We're already sitting on the toxic waste. So for those who have an issue about the environmental impact, we're already living in that. Why are we going to make it different? And lastly, because I've probably been threatened to be thrown out of more meetings at the town and the county than anybody in the room, because I'm one of the few people who go to either meeting, I will say that I am saying no to the casino. I'm not saying no to development, because again, my family comes from a business development aspect. Plan B was promised. Delivery.
Thank you, Ms. Maraday. Next, I have Dan Offering. Dan Offering. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone through all the slips that have been submitted. Is there anybody who wanted to speak that did not sign in or that has not spoken earlier that would like the opportunity? Okay. As we have no more persons to speak, I want to remind the public that the recording of this session will be posted on the town's website for future viewing. In addition, I do remind people if they have any submissions they want to make, they can do it either in formal writing, submission to the town, or via internet, and it will be made part of the record for consideration by our consultants. With that, may I have a motion to close the public scoping session and continue receiving public input through the comment portal on the town's website until February 20th at 5 p.m. So may I have a motion?
So moved.
Hold on. Just, hold on.
So moved.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all for coming out this evening, and please drive home safely.
All right.
Don't drink. See that?